Hello, 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 welcome, 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 welcome. It is Sunday. Hello. Warhammer Sunday times. Yes, don't know where I was going with all those welcomes. Hey everyone, it is Sunday. It is time for me to sit down and work on my Warhammer army, the unending forces of the Holy Contrivance, my Principality of Xeon themed Warhammer army. And while I'm working on that for 2 or 3 hours, I'll sit here and hang out with you guys and have a good chat. As always, do let me know if I sound okay and look okay, if everything looks fine and sounds fine. I always like to fiddle with the settings. So let me know if everything's coming through okay. It is a lovely day outside. Not the warmest, but it's a very nice day. However, because it's middle-class suburbia, it means that every single person in the entire neighbourhood is now either out mowing their lawn, cutting down trees with the chainsaw, jet washing their driveway, or something that makes a lot of noise. So if there's lots of noise in the background, I do apologise. Let me know and I can close the window. It's just, oh, it's so annoying. The moment I open the window, it's like jet washes and chainsaws and, oh, it's like, please just, can you shoot your dogs and turn off the power tools just for an hour, please? Just because it's nice and sunny outside doesn't mean you have to come out and make loads of noise. Oh, middle class, oh. And the worst thing is the guy jet washing his driveway. He's not just got the trigger and he's not just going bzzz like that. No. He's got the jet and he's going bzzz, 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 bzzz. It's so annoying. It's like, just hold the trigger for more than 3 seconds, please, before I come round and hit you with a chair. Oh, so frustrating. They seem to have stopped for the moment, but if it does kick off again, do let me. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome. It's Warhammer Sunday. As always, this is where I will hang out with you guys. I depend on you guys in the chat to give me stuff to talk about, and if you want to win stickers and things later on, you need to be in the live chat. So if you're watching this and you can't see the live chat, you can see it here, obviously. Where is it? There it is. You can see it there, but if you want to join in the typey chat, you just need to click on the YouTube icon that's down in the, I don't know where the camera, I always move the camera and then I don't know where it is. The YouTube icon that's down here in the bottom right somewhere. Click on that and it'll take you to the YouTube page where this is streaming, and you can join in the typey live chat. And do, because everybody in chat's awesome. We have a good laugh in chat. It's a good place to hang out for 3 hours before you go off and have your dinner. So it's a good place to be. So do that. I say, if you're not able to get into the chat at all, if you are in chat and you want to ask me a question, or make a comment that you need me to see, first and foremost, put it in big fat capital letters so I have a chance of seeing it. My chat's over there this week again, not here now. It's over there on the side. So, in fact, no, let's move it. Let's just, yeah, let's move it out of the way. I'll need to move it again later because I have email open to look at the emails that you've sent me. And I'll lock the camera, obviously, of course. We'll put the chat there just so I can see it. But yeah, if you want to ask me a question, put it in big fat capital letters so I have a chance to see it. Or if you want to, you can do a super chat, which is the little dollar symbol at the bottom of the chat window. That just puts your comment or your whatever question in a big coloured box, and also makes a little pinging noise so I have less chance of missing it. But if you can't get in at all, don't panic. Just hit the email address here, fox@modelmakingguru.com. Send me an email and ask me a question or whatever you want to do on there, and I'll probably pick that up as well. So do give me a shout. Now, if you remember watching last week, if you weren't watching last week, here's some big fat news. We have a new stream boss. However, it's not me. It's not Model Making. Yes, it all went wrong last week. Simon Reynolds, also known as Kevin, is our new Lord and Master. He is our new stream boss. And he won last week, and he made me break everything because I tried tweaking something and then everything broke. So the stream boss has reset, but it's kind of, you can't change the name of the stream boss once it's reset, so I kind of messed it up. So unfortunately it's down, it says Model Making Guru, but it's not. It's Cy Reynolds is your new stream boss. And if you don't know what Cy Reynolds won, let me explain it to you very, very quickly. Stream boss battle is where one of you lucky people will be the stream boss. You start with 100,000 health, and everybody has to get your health down. Whoever gets you to 0 becomes the new stream boss. If you're the stream boss and you get taken to 0, you stop being stream boss and somebody else takes over as stream boss. The person that gets you, the stream boss, to 0 wins hundreds of pounds worth of Games Workshop or Forge World kits and products. Aviad Madar was our first one. He won about 300 quid's worth of kits and products. Cy Reynolds, who is the current stream boss and not Model Making Guru, won about 490 quid's worth of kits and Warhammer kits and all kinds of good stuff. He bought some Age of Sigmar stuff, but you know, nobody's perfect. But if you're in the boom hut, do pop along to the Model Makers boom hut, have a look, because he did put a photograph up of all the stuff he bought. So yeah, he won like pretty much 500 quid's worth of stuff. So if you want to win a whole massive mess of Warhammer stuff, make sure you join in. All you need to do to get people's health down, if you're not a subscriber to this channel already, then hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. That takes a bit of Simon's health off. You can, if you want to do a super chat in the chat, like I said a minute ago, if you do a super chat, that also takes some of his health off. And if you want to put a tip through the tip jar, which is there, streamlabs.com/model-making-guru at the bottom of the screen, that also takes some of Simon's health off. And the more you put through as a tip, or the more you put through as a super chat, the more of his health comes off. Now, the amount will vary, because the things like people subscribing take health off and other bits and bobs, and it does change around. But basically, through all those tips and super chats that go through, that you put through, they all go into the pot, and if you become the stream boss, you win that pot. And like I said, Simon won about 500 quid's worth of stuff, which he got within a couple of days. Awesome sauce. Yes. So yes, because all I do is say, here's how much you've got, what do you want, and then I order it from the Games Workshop store, and it turns up on your doorstep. So there you go. So do get playing. It takes a while to get the health from here, full whack, down to here, and then slowly, but yeah, it's jolly good fun. It gets quite vicious towards the end. Simon basically put 300 quid down and wiped it, so there you go. So he got 500 quid worth of stuff for 300 quid. Not bad. Anyway, yeah, but I screwed it up and I pressed a button and broke everything, so it doesn't say Simon, it says Model Making Guru. It did for a while say Kevin, which is why Simon is also known as Kevin. Alex Geis puts $5 through. He says, do an American accent, any of the main ones, that is, if you can. Oh no, I do a terrible American accent. I can do it, but I can't do it. Thank you very much for that, Alex. Yes, if you want to take part in the Stream Boss battle, then do get your tips and streams, I've got to get the words out now. Get your super chats and tips coming through right now. Available for all major credit cards and cash donations on tips on PayPal and everything else. I've got to try and think of something to say. I can't think of anything to say now in an American accent. Today we're going to be painting the Imperial Chimera. We're going to be painting it green, as you can see. It's quite a nice colour. And we're going to be doing today the paint chipping. Oh God, I sound like crying. It's a terrible American accent. I can't do it. Sorry, Alex, I can't do one. If I wasn't trying so hard to do it, I can sort of, if I slow my voice down digitally, I can sort of do a Carl Sagan, but I can't do it just without effects. It's like, you know, if you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. I also have to do it quietly, and that doesn't really get picked up by the microphone. Let's see, what else can I say in an American accent? I can't think of anything. When you put me on the spot and say do this, I can't do it. If I just sat here by myself, waffling away to myself, I'd do it. Speaking as American, this was perfect. Well, there you go. I can do American. I think the easiest way to do an American accent is to try and do an advert. Available now in all good stores. If you wish to buy this thing, you need to give me money, and therefore I will give you these goods and services in return for the money. I don't know what that means. Anyway, yes, so thank you very much for that, Alex. So a little tiny bit of Kevin's health, Simon's health, has come off. Yes, if you're wondering why Simon is known as Kevin, it's because when I tweaked the Stream Boss settings, it defaulted the name Kevin in. So from now on, Simon is Kevin. There you go. Our Lord and Master Kevin. So anyway, I'm going to have a swig of coffee. As always, I've got my enormous coffee. James Lorimer says, my wife put me on prenatal vitamins. Why? You're not pregnant. And 2, vitamins are unnecessary. It's a complete scam by the health food industry and all that kind of nonsense. You don't need vitamin supplements. You get enough vitamins in your food. She did it to help me mentally and put me in a better mood, crazy enough, says James. Okay. If it works for you, it works for you. I'm not going to knock it. But you don't need extra vitamins in your diet. Extra vitamins can actually do more harm than good, potentially, if you overdose on some. Some are good, some are bad, but you don't need them. But hey, if you feel better, you feel better. Right, so anyway, yes, today we are going to crack on with this. Now, You have noticed, no doubt, that I have applied all the water slides that I'm going to add. We've got the Xeon symbols, the naked lady, the naked floaty lady with the wings of an angel. Lots of little markings and decals and warnings. We've got some numbers on the side of the turret and some bits and bobs. And I, of course, added a Foxhound decal on the back because Metal Gear. Metal Gear. So, yeah, so we've got my token Foxhound. I need to just quickly blow my nose because I've got a dribbly nose. Oh! Oh, excuse me. I've got a very runny nose today. So, yes, so we've got all the decals on there. Not millions of them. I don't need to do a lot. I've got to try and keep it simple because I'm going to have more than one vehicle in my army, of course. So, what we're going to do today, what I should have done really before I did the decals was do the paint chipping, but it's not the end of the world. I can survive with it. We're going to do some paint chipping today. So lots of painty tiny things. So not particularly exciting, but this is a journey. You're joining me on my journey to paint my Warhammer army, which means you have to sit and suffer everything I do. Yes. So, before we get cracking, I shall have a quick look at chat. I do have some news as well. Before we go through the chat, if you're wondering why I've got a piece of sticky note with Lord Discordant written on it, it's because Mama Fox, I went downstairs yesterday to do something, and a friend of mine turned up for a brief visit, and Mama Fox says, I want this one, and I said, what are you on about? And she said, I want this one, and she looked at the website, the Facebook page for my local Warhammer store, and she pointed at a picture of the new Lord Discordant kit, which is up for pre-order. She said, I want that. I'm like, okay. Do you want me to go and pre-order it for you? Yeah. So, yesterday I went to my local Warhammer store and pre-ordered the Lord Discordant for Mama Fox. So I have ordered that. Because I said to her like about 2 years ago, I said, if you ever see something like a Warhammer model that you want, because she likes to collect them as pieces of artwork. She's got like shelves full of models and stuff that I've made. You know, just as things to look at, nice pretty things. Like some people collect ornaments, she collects models. I said, you know, if you ever see one you want, give me a shout and I'll get it for you and I'll paint it up and you can have it in your cabinet. So she decided, even though she's been looking at all the things like the big dragony things and a lot of the Age of Sigmar big beasts and winged beasts and things like that and all the fantastic, she wanted the Lord Discordant. So, okay, cool. So that's on pre-order now for Mama Fox. Hello. Kevin tipped £5. I'm effectively punching myself in the face, he says. Yes, Simon Reynolds, Kevin, our stream boss. I meant to tell you, Simon, yeah, it won't because it's me. So if you put a tip through, it won't. Normally when the stream boss puts a tip through, it adds health to himself. So yes, because Simon's not actually the stream boss technically, because it's me, he's effectively taking health off himself, so he is effectively punching himself in the face. Normally when the stream boss puts money through, it actually gives him health back. So, yeah. So, yes, very strange. I did break it. Hopefully I won't break anything this week. So, I have pre-ordered for Mama Fox a Lord Discordant, which should be with me next Saturday. I like to order stuff through my local Warhammer store. If you do have a local Warhammer store, do support your local store. If you're going to order something online or pre-order it, and you're able, and you know your local store is nearby, it's always a good idea to go to your store, pre-order things there, and have them delivered to the store. Or it doesn't really matter; you can have it delivered to you. But if you pre-order it in the store and not just at home, then that goes towards your local store's targets, and it helps them out massively. Because it just really helps out your local store. So if you've got a local store that's really convenient to you and nearby, and you want to make sure you keep having a local store, whenever you need to pre-order stuff or order anything to get sent to you, if you can, go to the store and order it on most of them have a big iPad about 3 foot long. You can order on there, and as long as it goes through their store and you order it there, it goes onto their budget, onto their targets and stuff. So help your local store out. Just helping the pot along, says Simon. Right, let's have a quick look at who's in chat. And then we shall crack on. Right, we have Pascal Leverse was of course the first person in. He appeared in the chat literally minutes after I put it up around about 10 o'clock this morning. At which point it was also in Chris at Gross Models live stream chat as well. So Pascal was in, Nim is in, welcome Nim. Kenneth popped in earlier on, Kenneth from G'day, Australia. Kenneth popped in and said, G'day, I love the music, mate. He doesn't actually sound like that. He popped in to say he likes the music. He didn't stay in long because it's actually midnight in Australia. He has to go to bed. So he just popped in to say hello. So hello, Kenneth. Candygram from Mongo. Greetings all. Time to clear the bench for a build along with Foxx session. George Gabriel. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, George. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Rascals Hobbies. Morning. Welcome, Rascals Hobbies. We have Simon Reynolds, of course, or Kevin, as we know like to call him, was in as well. Dad is in. One of your mods is Dad. Mike at Mountain at Scaly Models. Dad is in. Welcome, Dad. We have Tyrone Key. Hi, all. Welcome, Tyrone. Who else has come in so far? We have... see who's in. Chris at Gross Models is in as well. Welcome, Chris. Snowman HFC came in just as we started to go live. Welcome, Snowman. James Lorimore, obviously, we've spoken to. Jamie Bone is in today. Welcome, Jamie. Wayne Haywood, afternoon all. Afternoon, sir. We have anybody else come in? Where's Canada? Says James Lorimore. I don't know. Probably the same place as Sergeant Bones. Because where's Sergeant Bones? James Lorimore says to Dad, Dad, guess what I got in the mail? He says he got a new webcam and a microphone. Cool, because James is setting up his own little gaming channel. He says he's got 21 subscribers on Twitch already. Well done. So good stuff. You got yourself a camera and a microphonings. Excellent. Let's have a look. Candyman from Mongo asked Simon if he's already received his prizes. Yes, he received them. I ordered them on Sunday, I think, about an hour after the stream. Jason McDonough has subscribed. Thank you very much, Jason, for subscribing. You're very kind, sir. Taking a tiny bit of Simon's health off. Thank you for subscribing, though. Yes, I ordered them, I think, about an hour or two after the Sunday show. Might have been early Monday. I can't remember now. But we had a chat with Simon. Simon picked out everything he wanted. Basically, when you win the stream boss, I mailed Simon and said, here you go, mate. Here's the budget. It's about 490 quid, or whatever the budget was. Which was how much was in the pot. He said, I want this. I then went to the Games Workshop store, ordered it, and just had it sent to his address. And he had it within a couple of days. If you order from Games Workshop, it's kind of like within 2 days. It's really good. They're really good at shipping stuff out. Let's have a look. Who else we got? Anybody else come in? I don't think anybody else new as... Oh, Scott Sutherland's in. Welcome, Scott. Scott from Orkney. Hello, sir. The Print Guru. The Chaos Cowboy. Such a fun model as the Lord Discordant. Yes, I've not made it before. We have another subscriber. We have Carl Bloomer. Thank you, Carl, for subscribing. Welcome, welcome. Osric 9000 is in. Hello, all, he says. A Terrace. Hi, all. Sorry I missed last week. I sent you an email, Fox, but I wonder if I've made a boo-boo. Was Mr. G a few weeks ago. Haha. I was Mr. G. A Terrace. Hang on. What did you send me an email about? I'll pull this away so I can look at my email. I don't want to expose people's email addresses to the telly, you see. So let me have a quick look. What was the email about, A Terrace? I'm sure I had it. If you sent it to Foxx at modelmakingguru.com, handily just down here, I would have had it. Bit inconvenient for me to get to my nearest Games Workshop store, says Scott. Yeah, you can't get a pass on that, Scott, because you're in goddamn Orkney. Your nearest store involves a ferry, so it's not very easy for you. But if your local store is accessible, because mine's only like 5-minute drive away, it's like, hop in the car and get there. I like to help my local store out. Anyway, so that's everybody that's in chat, so welcome all of you. Remember, if you are in chat, if you can't see the chat and you want to join in the live chat, please do. It's good fun in there. Just click on the YouTube icon, bottom right of the screen, and that will take you to the YouTube page where the live chat is. If you're on a mobile device like a tablet or a phone and you can't see the live chat at all, you may be looking at the mobile version of the website, of the YouTube website. So if you are, just find your little menu options. It's somewhere on the YouTube screen. And if you're in Chrome on, say, iPad, if you're on an iPad, let me drag this down so you can see. For example, if you're on an iPad and you're on Chrome and you can't see that because there's a thing in the way. If you're on Chrome and there's an iPad, normally in the 3 buttons here, 3 dots, one of the options is request mobile site. It says request mobile site there, but it's request desktop site if you're on the mobile site already. So that's one way of doing it. If you're not using Chrome, I can't help you. If you're using Safari on an iPad, you shouldn't be. If you're not on an iPad, I don't understand. So anyway, let's stop waffling. We're going to do some painting now. Let's get some work done. It was about stickers and paying for the postage. Oh, yes. I've not... Oh, I mean, I thought I'd reply to that. I haven't replied to that. My apologies. Yes, I will reply to you. I will get back to you. Don't worry. I meant to reply to that straight away and then got sidetracked. Yes, I have had that one. Right, so today we are going to do the things. What we're going to do today, we're going to put some chipping on this puppy. Now, we used all kinds of greens. If I remember correctly, in the Citadel Paint app, I used the moss green colour scheme. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some chipping. I'm going to go in with... let's have a think. We could do Nurgling green. We could do it on camera as well. We could do Nurgling green, or we could do Elysian green. Do I have any other greens? I think Nurgling green would be fun. What we're going to do basically, this is going to be battered and beaten and rusted. So I'm going to do 2-stage chipping, at least on the main part of the tank. We're going to have a light green initial chip coat, which is going to be lighter than this. And then we're going to do a brown or dark brown rust chip within the green chips to give it like a 2-layer effect. And what we might do in some of those chips is have maybe some dark greys instead. We'll do all bits and bobs. We'll vary it a little bit. Some will be rusty, some won't. And then I think on the dozer blade at the front, we're going to have the same again, light green chips, but they're going to be where the paint's chipped away. It will have exposed metal, which isn't maybe rusty because that gets scraped. The idea is the dozer blade gets scraped and scuffed all the time, so if there is any corrosion, it might get scraped off and it'll be a lot more like bare metal. And maybe it's a different metal to the hull. I don't know. We'll just make it look cool. Tyrone Key says, so what is everyone working today? I'll be working on some Deathwatch Marines. Yes, what have you got on your bench at the minute? What's everybody got going on their benches? If you watch this and you do stuff while you're watching it, what are you doing while you're watching? I shall get my scoopy brush if I can find it. There we go. Let's get some paint out of this. So, yeah, so Mama Fox, I'm getting the, whatever that model I said it was that I've forgotten already, Lord Discordant. So I'll go and pick that up next Saturday. When I'll get to do it, I don't know, because it'll be, you know, I've got so much on my plate at the moment. I've got to finish the little tiny submarine, which I shall grab for you and show you if I can. This is where the U-boat's at the minute. Little pokey U-boat. How cute is that? I've got to do all the weathering on this now. So the little U-boat there. So I've got to get that finished. When that's finished, it's obviously the Master Grade Sazabi. That's got to start. And then when that's done, we crack on with the big fat Millennium Falcon. So I'm going to start with the Army Painter Detail Brush. Now, I haven't used this brush before. Where's my little glass thing? I haven't used the Army Painter Detail Brush before, so I'm assuming it might be the right size. Might be a bit too small, but we'll see. Scale Model Vamp is in. Hello, hello. Welcome, Vamp. George Gabriel is working on his library upstairs. He says library. What he means is video game library. George has about 1 billion video games. It's ridiculous. He sent me a photograph today of his like game library. It's like every single video game ever in the history of anything. I started scrolling down. I friended him on Xbox Live, and I scrolled down his profile to see what games he played. And after about 10 minutes of scrolling, I'm like, I'm bored now, and I've not even got to the end. Chris at Gross Models is doing a little bit on the actual Warhamster. Cool. A terrorist is attempting to glaze a Calamite from the Dark Souls board game, trying to give it a black scale lava dragon look. Let's have a look. What else are people doing? Wayne Haywood is working on a Star Wars Legion Rebel Troopers. Cool. James Lorimore is working on weathering his RG Zaku. Nice. Snowman HFC, no painting today. The video game library is downstairs, says George. This is the book library. Oh, okay. So, I thought you meant the game library. Okay, so it is a book library. For some reason... Oh, okay. I'm just going to show... Okay. Simon Reynolds, I apologise. It hid your comment temporarily. I don't know why, but I haven't got the chat. This is the one thing I meant to say. This is my stream. It's nothing to do with emails. This is my stream. I don't mind if you say rude words in chat. It's absolutely fine because it doesn't affect my monetization at all. But yeah, for some reason it really gets quite sensory. It censors quite a lot, the chat, which is annoying. So if you do get a comment that's delayed a little bit, probably because it thinks it's a rude word and censoring it, so I do apologise. Pascal Averse is currently wiring a high-grade Psycho Zaku, putting it in full... Wow, I'll start that again. He's currently wiring the HG Psycho Zaku, putting in full with RGB LEDs. Cool. Simon Reynolds is filming the new Mangler Squigs for the YouTubes. Yes, that's one of the things he bought with his winnings from this Dream Boss battle. This is too thin, this paint now. Simon Reynolds is an Abaddon while he waits for stuff to dry. Yes, Abaddon. Started my Klingon Warbird yesterday, says Vamp, though with electrickery. Yes. Scott Sutherland says, 2 guesses what I'm doing. And Dad says, Merkava tracks. Yeah, I'm going to guess whatever Scott's doing, it's probably Israeli Defence Force. Yeah, of course it is. Right, so we're going to do some chipping. Now, the way I like to do chipping, you can do chipping with a sponge and everything else, but I like to do it with a brush. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tiny amount of this light green paint. I like to start with the light colour first. And quite simply, I paint it by hand. So, I catch it on edge with little dots. Now, when you first do it, it will look really OTT and a bit excessive, because it'll be a highly different colour. It'll be a really bright colour compared to the other colours. But the thing is, I'm going to do weathering on top of this, so it doesn't matter if it's a bit bright. So I don't know if this is going to come out on camera at all, because it's going to be really small fiddly work. I'm going to hold it that way, I think. And it's quite sticky outy tongue scenario, so I don't know how much I'll be talking today. I shall do my best though. But what I like to do is start off with the paint around an edge. Just dot it along the edge with gaps, and then build it out from there. I start off with the dots first. Now keep in mind, I've said this many times before, when you're doing chipping, one of the things to keep in mind is that when you do any kind of paint chipping, I don't know if it'll come out on camera that, I'll zoom in a bit for you, hang on a minute. Now remember, this is zoomed in so it'll look crappy on camera. It's quite a light colour there, and it will look terrible on this camera because this camera is a bit rubbish for zooming in. So I do little dots like this on an edge to start with, just to give me a template. I tend to focus a lot near corners, and I start with these little dots. And I apologise if all of this goes off camera. Let me move this out of the way. Hang on. Where's the camera actually focused? There it is. It's hard for me to do a bit where you can actually see it. Let's see if should we do it around one of these. This might be easier for you to see. Let's do it on one of these. Right, so this is a panel that obviously comes out a lot. It gets removed quite often. So we're all these. So what we're going to do, we're going to put some dots around the edge. Little tiny dots. First of all, just here and there, mostly around the corners. The idea of chipping is I want to suggest that this is where paint has initially been removed. I'm going over decals as well. So first thing I want to do is this coat. The way I do it is, the first coat I do is lighter than the base coat. It's the same colour but lighter. So for example, if I paint it green, I do a light green colour. And I don't do it on every single edge. You want to keep it kind of almost randomised if you can. On camera, yes. But I start off by saying the different kinds of chips. This part I'm doing now is a paint chip where paint's been scraped and has come off, but it's not gone down to the bare metal. What it's actually done is just scraped off the top layer of dirty, weathered green, dark green paint, and it's exposed unweathered paint underneath. And it's perhaps a little bit lighter because it's This brush is weird. It's got a straight. I'm going to just... There's a stray thread on this brush and it's doing my head in. It's a little bit lighter because it's not weathered like the stuff on the outside. I'm just trying to trim this hair. There's a hair sticking out. It's doing my head in. There we go. Have that. There we go. It's better. Now again, it's not 100% realistic. This isn't stupidly realistic. It's kind of cartoony, and that's fine because that's what I'm going for. It's exaggerated, but it will make more sense once I've started actually doing the next step. Right now, it'll probably look, you're looking at it thinking, "What? That's weird," because it's a totally different colour and it just looks really weird. But trust me on this. It's the next step that will really make it start to come together. So we'll put a little bit around here. Now I want this to look really beaten and battered, so I'm going to go over the decals. There we go. So that's what that looks like for the moment. And again, it probably looks terrible on camera, but that's fine. Now one thing I want to do is, I like to do scrapes and scratches. And from scrapes and scratches, I'll do one here because it's easier to see on this bit. For a scrape and scratch, what I might do is I'll have a paint chip here, for example. Let's get some slightly thicker paint. Start with the paint chip there. Then what I'll do is I'll get a tiny amount of paint, and I want to suggest like a ding. So I'll drag the brush ever so slightly and have little scrapes and scratches like that. Sometimes if I want them radiating out like it's been an impact of some sort, I might have more than one. You really need almost nothing on the brush at all here. So there you go, little dings and scratches. And if you want extra detail, what you can do is have another scratch crossing over it like that. It just adds to the effect. And like I said, this is the first layer of chipping. Again, this will not be realistic. Now this is going to take me this will take me off on at most of it. Oh, Scale Model Vamp says, "I'm off again, gotta save the data or else cut off from the craziness of world of model buildings. Obviously got limited data on his broadband. See you all again next Sunday. Have fun and be safe. Thanks for coming in, Vamp. Appreciate the time." Yeah, I could actually sit here all day and do this, but I'm sure you get bored of that. So what I might do is just do one panel for you to give you an idea of what we're looking at. So let me find a decent big panel that I can play with that's fairly clean. Which bit could I do? We'll carry on with that one. We'll carry on with this one. That one, you can see it's just a bit too cluttered with the decals. So this one will stick with this one. So we'll do a little bit more. A bit around the edges. I'm just going around the edges to start with, just to focus the colour here. And it's very difficult to actually make something look random when you're not painting randomly. It's actually really hard. Try your best. Now the rule of thumb I like to do is, or like to stick to, is that in reality, if you look at a paint chip, use the golden rule that in reality actual paint chips are not very big. Think of, given the scale of your model, how big is a human head on this scale? How big would a human head or hand be? You can use a hand if you want. And on that scale, how big would the head or hand be? And use that as your scale. Because typically paint chips, as I've said this many times before, paint chips tend not to really be much bigger than, you don't often see paint chips bigger than, say, a human hand. Okay, so that's looking there, that's pretty chipped. Now it does look weird, like I said. I know it looks weird now because it's all bright green compared to the other green. But trust me, this will come out nicely. Because the next colour we'll use, I'm going to give it a quick blast with the hairdryer, 1 second. Hairdryer! There we go, just enough. Now the next step is, we can do 2 colours. We can do either either a sort of dark grey colour or a dark brown rusty colour, which I haven't got one out. Let me grab one. Give me one. I need to grab a paint out. So, I'll tell you what I can use. I know, I'm not going to use a non-Citadel colour. Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to use Shadow Rust from Ammo by Mig. I love Shadow Rust. It's a really nice colour. It's great for rust. So here we do. I've got 2 colours. So I'm going to get these on my palette of paletings. I'll zoom out again. Oh, I'll just leave it where it is. We've got Skaven Blight Dinge. Which I need to get some more of because it's a bit thin on the ground, that. Ooh. So we've got some Skaven Blight Dinge. I love that name. Skaven Blight Dinge. And then we have the Shadow Rust. Underdog painting is in. Hey guys, welcome Underdog. Now Shadow Rust is actually a pretty thin colour, so you don't actually need to thin it really. I'll put it on a wet palette, but I will for the ease. So what we can do now, if you're just doing if you're doing like a tank where there wasn't a lot of rusting perhaps, but it just the paint had chipped a bit because maybe it's a quick hasty paint job and it wasn't that great, you could just do your dark grey colour. In this case, Skaven Blight Dinge. So I'm going to get some of that. I'm going to thin it again a little bit. You kind of want to work a little bit thinner than normal. By the way, I haven't varnished the model at all. There's no varnish on this model yet at all. This is bare decal time. So what you can do, one option you can do, is to, the bits you've painted green already, in the middle of those, paint your dark grey colour. Or you can use black if you want. Let's do it on, say, one of these here. But paint it inside the paint chip. And this would give you, and I don't know if this will come out on camera at all, this will give you a secondary layer. Basically what this does is it looks like the chip has occurred on the dark green paint. It has chipped some of the dark green paint away. I don't know if that will come out at all. It's chipped some of the dark green paint away, and it's exposed, say, a darker primer colour or something underneath, like a primer colour, like in the fiction of the vehicle it painted it a primer colour. That's not really coming out, so you might want to go a bit darker than that. In reality, you can't really see there, but it's inside the other chips. However, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do that. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a different colour altogether. Let me get a colour from the box. 1 second. This requires some moving and shifting because I didn't plan this. Oh, clunk. Yeah, let me see what colours I have available to me to use. Abaddon Black. There you go. That will probably do quite nicely, to be honest. Have I got any other browns while I'm in there? Any other rusty browns that I can make use of? Yes, Rhinox hide. There you go. Okay. We'll try this again. I'm just going to put this lid back on here. Oh, didn't plan this at all. Can't get. Oh, we'll just put that there for now. Let's just leave it there. Right. If you haven't got that ammo paint, by the way, you can use something like Rhinox hide, which is another good sort of dark rust colour. Or you can use Abaddon Black if you want a nice black centre. Let's get some of the Abaddon Black on the palette and see what that looks like. But the idea is, when I do this, I try to have at least a 2-layer chip that is brown or black, depending on what effect you want to go for. And then on the outside of that, you have a colour that's lighter than the base colour, so it's like another green. I'm just going to get some of this Abaddon black. A little bit of water on that, I think. And then what we can do, we can try the same again. No harm in going over it again. So you might see it better. Inside this chip here. We'll do inside, because what I want is the light green to be around the edge of it. And I might follow this streak here a little bit. And it just suggests then that the chip has gone. It's not just chipped off some of the paint to reveal lighter unweathered paint. It's actually chipped off some of the paint to reveal a chip underneath. So you can see there you've got this dark black splodge with the light green around the edge. And that's just to suggest that the light green around the edge is just where paint's been exposed and it's scraped away dirt and grime and it's scraped away the top layer of paint. It's just left a cleaner, unweathered paint underneath, which will eventually go dark like the rest of it. It's just to give that kind of subtle effect. It's not super realistic. Do another one here, for example. It's not super realistic. It's kind of exaggerated. But it just helps make your model look a bit more interesting. And keep in mind as well, this is just me painting the chips on. Once this has been done, there's weathering to come, and the weathering goes on top of that and makes it all blend together. So if your light colour looks a bit too light, don't panic. When you do all your weathering later on, it will then make it all come together. So I'm going to get some of this, I'm going to get the Rhinox hide actually. Let's get some of this Rhinox hide on the go. Now this is what can take you a while. This is what can take you a very long time. But I love doing this bit. Because even when your chipping doesn't come out quite spot on, you're like, it's all right. Excuse me a second. Sorry about that. Even when it doesn't come out spot on perfect as it would you imagine in your head, it still looks kind of cool. And when you weather it down later, it all blends together. As with anything, don't worry about going too light with the light colour, because you'll be doing either a gunk wash or you'll be doing a filter or something later on that will blend it all back together again. So let's try. This is using Rhinox hide now, which is really dark brown colour. And the trick is, see if we can get that back on camera. The trick is, I want this to look rusted, so we're going to do Rhinox hide in here. The trick is to almost follow the original shape of the chip you painted, so that it just looks like there's a crust of the light green paint around the edge of the exposed rusty bit. You want it to follow the same shape. That's probably a better idea of what you're looking at there. Now it looks like harsh brown or black to you, harsh brown and then a really big fat light green outline, and it kind of is. But keep in mind when you're looking at this on your telly box now, it's a bit more exaggerated, the colours, than in actual real life. So what I can do is I can do a few little bits here. Just fill in. Now you don't need to fill everything in. You know, some chips will just be the clean, untarnished paint. I'm having trouble speaking today. Some chips will just be untarnished paint, so they'll just be, you know, the light green colour. And some will have bits of metal exposed that have then gone rusty. But not all of them, not every single one. So just vary it up. You know, it's not, I don't want it to look like a complete rust bucket. But I want it to look like there is some rust on there. And bear in mind as well, we're going to be adding, if you're doing a model that's this rusty and got chipping and this rusty and battered and beaten, odds are you're going to put lots of dirt and dust on it as well, and also that will cover a lot of things up. Don't be afraid to go over your markings and decals. Keep in mind, a lot of people ask me what's the best order to do things, and here's the basic rule of thumb. If you're doing any kind of weathering that involves paint chipping, then in reality on a military vehicle, things like these markings and caution signs and warning markings and anything like that, they're not stickers or water slides in real life. They're painted on. They might be, I mean, they might be vinyl. Some of them might be vinyl stick-on jobs, but other than that, most of them are just stenciled on paint. And when you chip paint off, the marking would be on top of the green paint. And if I then chip that green paint off, it takes whatever marking is on top of it. So if you're doing paint chipping, you can do it one of several ways. You can apply the paint chipping first and then do your decals. Or you can put the decals on like I have and then do the paint chipping on top. Your paint chipping has to go over the markings, because if you've got a paint chip there, if I paint a big white marking on the side of my car and then drive it into a gate post, it's not going to scrape the blue paint off and leave the marking untouched. It's going to scrape everything off. So you're going to have chips that go over the markings and decals. If you do the decals after the paint chips, then you can actually get quite... I wish I'd done this. One effect you can do, if you do your chipping first, paint all your chipping on, then put your markings on, and when the markings have dried, before you seal them in with anything, get yourself a very sharp blade. I'll do it now, actually. I'll demonstrate for you. Get yourself a very sharp blade. And if I'd done the chipping already, for example, what you could do is very carefully and very gently chip away at the water slide. Like that. And that can add scratches and scrapes and all kinds of things. Now, if you're clever, you can do it gently. But what you can also do, you'll either take you'll take the water slide away and leave the base coat showing through, which is the effect you want. Or, if you go a bit too heavy, you might actually take some of the paint off as well and end up going through to either the primer coat or your plastic underneath. But that's fine, because they're all then just different colours. And it just makes it look like you've had lots of different things painted on this vehicle at different times, and all different coloured paints are showing through because you've got scratches of all different steps. You need to make sure, if you're doing the scrapey method, you need to make sure the decals are dry, fully cured. I'd leave them for like, a couple of days, just to make sure they're all soaked in and nice and dry and everything else. So I'll just do a couple more here. I'll have a quick look at the chat in a second, see what you're all doing. It's very easy to get disheartened, especially with that very first coat, like I did with the light green, because you put that on and it can look like absolute nonsense. You're like, oh, that looks terrible, what the hell? Don't panic. Don't panic at all. It will all come good. Because once you've got, if you're working on a little panel like this, it's very easy to get focused on this little tiny panel and lose sight of the big picture. And you get quite discouraged. You think, oh, it looks terrible. But then when you actually finish everything, you stand back and look at it from a distance away, you just have this old paint look. And what you can do, later on we'll do some more weathering and stuff that will blend it all together even further. So just work on panel by panel. It is easy to do too much. It's easy to go too far. But just have fun with it. Try on an old kit you're not worried about first and just work your way through. On this one, it's going to take me a long time to get all of this weathered and patchy. So today what I'm probably going to be doing is mostly the light green paint. I'm going to have a swig of coffee. Quick look at the chat. And then I'll crack on. Right, what is chat doing? Where's my palette lid? Let's have a look. Right, I've missed quite a bit of chat. Mickle Pickle is in. Hello, lovely people. We've not seen you for a while, Mickle Pickle. Welcome back. Welcome back to the fold. You have been missed. Candy Man from Mongo says, I'll airbrush an Apollo Command... Oh, let me zoom out, because I don't need to be zoomed in quite so far, do I? I'll airbrush an Apollo Command module and perhaps start my first Gundam, which I selected it because it was the goofiest looking one. Yay, Candy Gram's doing Gunpla. Woohoo! Awesome. Welcome to the fold. Do make sure to post them in the Boom Hut. Let's have a look. Yes, Scott says 2 guesses what I'm doing. I'm going to guess it's Israeli Defence Force. Osric 9000 says, today I airbrushed 22 Spesmarins in chrome. Results have been mixed. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Are you making some grey nights? Is that what you're making? Grey nights, perhaps? What you might like to do is a glaze with a very, very diluted blue colour. Get some for that kind of blue tinge. Foxy, who killed your health? Says Scale Model Vamp. Oh yes, if you missed it, it's not actually me. I screwed it up. I pressed the wrong button and it reset to me. It was a Simon Reynolds. Simon Reynolds won last week. And he says, what was the prize? The prize was he won the pot. All the money raised through Super Chats and the tip jar goes to the winner who becomes a stream boss. And in this case, Simon got just shy of 500 quid's worth of stuff. 500 quid's worth of Warhammer kits of his choice. I just said to him, you got 500 quid, what do you want? And I order it for him. So yeah, he won himself 500 quid worth of stuff. So it's back to Simon Reynolds now. It just says me because I screwed it up. It's back to that. Get your tips and super chats coming through. But the other thing is, because I messed it up and I pressed the wrong button for a while, it said Kevin as the stream boss. So Simon Reynolds is now officially our Lord and Saviour, Kevin. So there you go. So if you're wondering why from now on he's called Kevin, yeah. Let's have a look. Cynical Mank, I'm still painting my Junk Nerf Starship kit bash. It's becoming a labour of love, says Cynical Mank. Yes, Mank was telling us last week, I think it was, that he likes to just get random household objects and bits and bobs and just make stuff. And I think that's brilliant. Because as he said himself, you know, sometimes this is an expensive hobby. Let's be honest. This hobby is expensive. It's not for the faint of heart. And sometimes you have to be harsh, and when people complain about the price of things, you have to be harsh and say, you know, you have to accept that this is it's a first world expensive luxury hobby. Yes, it would be nice if everything was accessible to everyone, but unfortunately, it's an expensive thing and it is a luxury. It's like me complaining about a Ferrari because I can't afford one. If I can't afford one, I don't buy one. There's a certain... I mean, I wouldn't be as harsh to say to someone, if you can't afford it, don't do it. But Cynical Mike's got the perfect solution, was if you love the hobby, but, you know, you're struggling a bit and you can't afford some of the kits, make your own. I've done it myself in the past. You just get household stuff. Just get things that you find lying around the house. Go to the pound shop and look at cheap plastic tat stuff lying around. You can cut and shape anything to anything, making vehicles and starships and all kinds of things. And I always say, keep in mind, the Y-Wing from Star Wars, the front of the Y-Wing on the nacelle, was a plastic egg-shaped container that held a pair of ladies' tights. So anything can be used in a model. So yeah, he's scratch building his own. So if you are struggling a bit, and it is an expensive hobby, if you're struggling, just make stuff up, make your own. Underdog Painting, we said hello to. Welcome, Underdog. Hope everyone is well. I'm guessing up... I'll start again. Hope everyone is well. I'm guessing up to Foe 2 Warhammer World Thursday. Well, that was a bit of a train wreck there, that sentence. He says he's gearing up for Warhammer World. Okay, cool. You're going to Warhammer World. Jealous? I'd love to go to Warhammer World, but it's more than 5 minutes away. And my car doesn't survive long journeys. I get stressed out if I have to drive to E-models, and that's only 30 miles down the motorway. Underdog Painting, he says... Oh, Atera says, awesome Underdog. I have never been, but I also have nowhere near a functional army. And Underdog says, me neither. I'm making a Gene Stealer cult army, so I might pick up some stuff for that, but also pick up some stuff for my own chapter of Primaris. Oh, which reminds me, you know when Games Workshop designed the new Gene Stealer stuff, and they had like the Atalan this and that and stuff, I don't think they considered that it sounds just like Matalan. Because when I went to my local store yesterday and I said to Chris, the manager, you know that the new truck, the new Gene Stealer truck looks like something like Borderlands. I said to him, I need to come and pick up that Matalan truck at some point, and he thought that was hilarious. He'd never heard them called Matalan, whatever they are. He'd never heard them referred to as Matalan. If you're outside the UK, you don't know, Matalan is a chain of cheap shops, cheap stuff shops, like clothing and stuff. He'd never heard them referred to as Matalan. I'm like, well, come on. Surely they must have expected that. Maybe they didn't. Underdog says I'll be taking videos and pictures and putting it up on my channel. Jolly good. Make sure to link and subscribe. Candy Bear from Mongo. Fox's model looks amazing. This is a great shot of it. Thank you very much. It's yeah, the thing with... I always get disheartened when I do chipping because the first coat with the light colour always looks terrible. Then you do the second colour and it's like, now it comes together. And this brown is actually working. So, Rhinox Hide is your friend of mine. I do love, though, the Shadow Rust. It's a very nice colour. Festa67 Workshop. Hey, Colin. Hi, Fox and gang. Welcome, Colin. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Underdog Painting, by the way, if you have your own YouTube channel, do feel free to pimp it as much as you want. Here's one thing. Some of you won't know, but I do have a group on Facebook called the Model Makers Boom Hut. If one of the mods could be very kind and post a link in for me. It's a Facebook group for anybody of any skill level to do all the, show off their stuff, hang out, have a good time, chat with each other, and it's a safe environment. We don't allow bitchiness and snarkiness or anything like that. It's not allowed. We're not like some of the groups I could mention. There's none of that nonsense allowed. Anyone comes in with attitude, they don't last very long. But the thing in there is we heartily encourage people, if they've got their own YouTube channels, their own websites, pimp it. Show it off. Get links in the Boom Hut. You're more than welcome to. The only thing we don't allow is for you to sell anything. If you're selling something, we won't allow you to link to it. You're not allowed to buy or sell. But if you've got a blog or a YouTube channel, yeah, as long as it's not locked behind a paywall, get links up. Now, you can't post a link in the chat, but do feel free to, if you've got a YouTube channel, while you're in chat now, say what your channel is so people can go and find it. Obviously, the mods, you can see there, all the mods, I think most of them have, do all of them? Yes, all of them have channels. And you can just click on them. But if you want to, if you've never done it before, on the chat, again, you can't see it, can you? If you right-click on somebody's comment, on the little three buttons at the right-hand side of their comment, and right-click and go to channel, it'll take to channel. So if anybody out in the chat's now got a channel, pimp it. Pimp it. I always like to encourage people. I want people to have as much fun doing this as I do. Let's have a look. There's lots of hello to everybody going on. Redlen is in. Afternoon all. Just finished work, watching on mobile. Welcome, Redlen. Let me know how it goes. I put my bit rate up to, I think, 4,000. And I know 5,000 pushing it a bit for mobile devices. So let me know if it's working okay for you, Redlen. Print Guru says, just watched the boat race and now reading last month's White Dwarf. Jamie Boehm got to go for a bit. Food is coming. Food is coming. Season 8. Stuart Bremner's in. Good afternoon. Should be working, but I'm watching you guys instead. This is the right answer, Stuart. This is correct. Dad's post up a link to the Model Makers Boom Hut. Yes, so if you're not already a member of the Model Makers Boom Hut, Dad's put a link in there. Do go and join it. It's a Facebook group. It's a closed group, but it's open to everybody, basically. We'll let you in. You can... It's not cynical, it's not snarky, it's open to everybody, and it's an encouraging place. It's a nice place to hang out. I do occasionally, very occasionally, do giveaways for people in the Boom Hut. And if you don't like being on Facebook, don't worry, you don't have to set up a profile with your real name and all your details. Just have a temporary profile, make a temporary profile. Because let's be honest, if you've not got a Facebook account, Facebook's already got all your data anyway, so it doesn't really make any difference. Snowman HFC says, I finally posted on the Boom Hut page, and Cynical Manx says, the Boom Hut guys are sound, made me feel welcome and didn't snigger at my builds. We don't allow it. We've actually had people that have been snarky, and we just kick them out. We just don't allow it at all. We're not saying that everybody should say everything's brilliant. I would never turn around to someone and say, wow, that's brilliant, well done, fantastic work, when their work is terrible. I would never, because that's disingenuous as well. I would never sit there and say, that's crap, what you're doing. I believe much more that you should praise work when it's good, and you should praise work when it's not so good, but at the same time suggest ways that person can improve their work and get better at what they're doing. If you see somebody's put some work up and it's got some shortfall, it's got some issues where maybe they need to work on some things, then just explain that to them, but do it in a positive and constructive way. Don't just say, well, that's crap, that, look at that, I could do that with my eyes closed, that painted by a child. Yeah, we don't allow that. That's just not constructive. There's no snark, nothing like that. David Sanderson says, hi Fox, first time on, you sound bunged up. Yeah, I've got a bit of a blowy nose today. For some reason, as soon as I turn the camera on, my nose runs. Let me just blow my nose. Hang on, turn the microphone off. Oh, it's better. It's nothing to do with everybody in the neighbourhood cutting their grass, and there's one out at the minute. I'm not got allergies or anything like that. It's just I always get a bit bungy. Aidan Jones, welcome by the way, David. Aidan Jones says, hello, just come back from Cosford Model Show. Many pounds left me. Oh, you're feeling a bit lighter, are you? Welcome, Aidan. Glad to see the progress on this. Love the technique, says Fester. Thank you, dude. That's what we've done. That's all we've done so far today is painted a bit of chipping on 2 bits. I'll zoom in again when I start doing more painting. When are GW finally going to join the 21st century and pull their pants in pull their pants? Whoa, I've misread that. Put their paint in dropper bottles. Tired of seeing my Abaddon Black dry out before the pot is empty or transferring the messy stuff myself. They want to sell more paint. That's why they're happy with the pots they've got. Because it means the paints do dry out and you have to buy more paint. Yeah, they don't want anything that means you're less likely to buy paint. If you've got one of these bottles and you put two, like I get a blob of paint on my wet palette, and it's more paint than I need, I'll use that up faster. If I've got a dropper bottle and I go, and that's enough paint for me, I'm not going to buy more of that. I've had this for like about 2.5, 3, maybe 4 years. Yeah, they're in the business of selling paint. That's why they'll never have dropper bottles. Sniffing the paints, lol. I was nervous about putting pictures of my Death Guard bike, but it was positive feedback, says Snowman HFC. Yes. There's never... I mean, yeah, like I said, we never say to people, don't give critical feedback. I would always say, if you can see how someone can improve, tell them. Just do it in a way that doesn't make them never pick up a paintbrush ever again. And I've always espoused this from being... I've done painting and drawing and model making for 30 or 40 years, and I've seen people say, here is my first ever painted whatever, or my first ever drawing, or whatever. What do you think? And somebody's gone, oh, it's crap, that is. Somebody who's got decades of experience turns around to someone who's been doing it for 5 minutes and says, that's crap, that is. Don't even bother, you're rubbish. That person may not ever pick up a pencil or a paintbrush ever again, because they'd like... It's their first ever picture. They're probably really proud of what they've done, and some guys come along and just, you know, crapped all over it. I hate that. And if I see people doing that in the boom hut, I kick them out. They get kicked out because there's nothing constructive about that. That's just, to put it politely, weeing on someone's chips. I don't accept that. It's much better to say to someone, well, I can see you've worked really hard on that and it's looking great. Going forward, may I suggest, you might find it easier to do X, Y, or Z. Or it might be you say, I can see what you're going for with that. I can see what your intention was. I don't think you quite pulled it off, but I think if you try doing this, that, or the other, you might find amazing things might happen. There's ways to tell people that, you know, there's something not quite right, or something that needs a little bit of work, without making them feel crap. And that's why I set up the boom hut, purely to enable that, to create an environment where that actually happens. And like I say, I'm not saying just sit there and tell everyone that their work is brilliant, even when it's just a pile of crap. You don't do that, because that's just as useless as telling someone it's a pile of crap. Everybody wants to learn. Everybody wants to get better. And you know, nobody's perfect. I'm not a professional. I'm no expert. I'm still learning. I'm learning things every day. I learn stuff from people in the boom hut every day. You know, so there's no such thing. There'll never be a point in my life where I can sit back and say, this particular model is perfect. I can do nothing further to it. It is just, that's as good as it's ever going to get. No, that's nonsense. I'll always be learning new things. My downside is that I hate to learn new things. I'm like, I like the old way. I don't want to do a new thing. I hate change. I'm allergic to change. I really am rubbish at. I'll learn a technique and then I'll stick with that technique for like 10 years and just use that exclusively and refuse to learn anything new. But then eventually I'll learn something new and be like, wow, how did I ever not do this? Okay, so that's going to do for that one. I'm going to put a scratch down here. And when you're doing scratches and scrapes, just having them cross over like that, just a little bit, just makes it look a bit more random. It doesn't always work. Stop talking about chips, says Gross Models. Chips. Chips are good for you. Chips are made of happiness. Let's do some around here. Doodle-doo. But if you're trying to learn this chipping technique, you don't want to, because you can use sponges and stuff. I just find this is a bit more relaxing and a bit more controlled. I find the easiest way is to start with an edge, and just, if you can hold your brush in such a way, I tend to rest my arm on the desk, and if I rest my arm on the desk, I get a little bit of the jitters in my hand because I'm on the nerve, and that's great. And then what I'll do is I'll hold the brush loosely and let it just jitter. If you hold the brush tightly, it doesn't quite work. You want to be jittery when you're doing around the edges. When you're painting nice crisp details, you want to have a firm grip of the brush and have a steady hand. When you're doing chipping, you kind of want the opposite. You want to unlearn everything you've learned about painting neatly. Go with the point. If you want small chips, go with the point of the brush and don't press it down. Just let the tip of the brush touch, or rather let the paint on the tip of the brush make contact with the plastic, with the model, and that will deposit a tiny amount, and that's as much as you want to get on there. Because it is edges that will tend to have crew the paint chips anyway. So you want to kind of be random. And it's not very exciting, me doing this, because I'm so busy doing this I'm not paying attention to anything, and it's really hard to actually just talk about stuff. And don't have chips on every single surface, because then it gets a bit obvious. Just vary it round. Borry Models is in. Hi everyone, Borry. Hi Borry. Borry even, not Barry. I'll have a quick look at the chat again in a moment. Now there may be some bits on here where I want to have different coloured chips. For example, this bit here is like a hinge. I might paint that a silver colour, the whole thing actually a silver colour with the metal bits here later on. I may go back and do that again. Or maybe even gold, don't know yet. So I'm not going to put any chipping on that because, again, I might do that as a silver colour later. So I might come back and address that after the fact. I've still not painted the whatchamacallits, the scroll work. I keep meaning to do that and don't doing it. Because I'm special. Keep forgetting. This looks like it's the thing that opens. It's like a flap that opens up like that. So with that hinge, so you can expect a fair bit of wear and chipping on these. Oops. When I'm doing the edges like this, I try and use the old 45 degrees angle of the brush to pick the edge, and then I can go back in and put the chips in. It's challenging sometimes if you've not got a good point on your brush. So we'll bring that down here. So that chip didn't come out quite as good as I hoped it would, but that's fine because once we put some dark colour in there, it'll kind of make it make more sense. So don't worry when you're doing this first light colour coat. If it doesn't quite look like it does in your mind's eye, it's fine. It'll be fine, don't panic. Do a bit more on this bottom part. I'm going to chip your bottom. Okay, and then we'll get some down under. G'day, down under. So I've been playing with the announcement of Borderlands 3. Yes, I've been playing getting back into Borderlands again, getting myself familiar with it because I've not played any of the Borderlands games for a good 5 or 6 years or whatever. The last Borderlands game I even started to play was the pre-sequel, and I only got about 7 levels in on that. I got to about level 7 and it just didn't gel with me and I kind of abandoned it. So I've gone back and I'm playing through that again. And Borderlands 1 and 2, got the updates for those. So I can't wait for Borderlands 3. Yeah, the pre-sequel's weird because it's like, I love the humour in it, the Australian humour, because it's Australian made, but I don't know, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't play the same as Borderlands. It just doesn't. Everything seems like a challenge. I can't find a. Like in Borderlands 1, I was running around with combat rifles all the time. Combat rifle and sniper rifle. And an SMG for taking out spider ants. Borderlands 2, I was running around with, or I'm running around with pistols, like Jacob's fire as fast as you want pistols. And a sniper rifle, because the combat rifles and that weren't so good. But Borderlands pre-sequel, I can't settle on a preferred weapon at all, because there's just, I don't know, it doesn't seem as coherent. At the moment I'm rocking a pistol and a sniper rifle, but I've also got a shotgun and a machine gun, submachine gun, and a rocket launcher and all the other bits I might need. It's like I can't, I don't know, there's just no catch-all kind of weapon. It's not as, I don't know, it's really hard. It's just not as engaging, I think. Also, it seems to suffer a lot from dubious design decisions, in that there's more than one time where I've got a waypoint and it's just not clear at all where the hell I need to go or what the hell I need to do, and that's a bit of a shame. Something I never really had in Borderlands 1 or 2. But it's still fun. I'm enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. I like the sense of humour as well. If you've played it, I've just one of the bits I did recently was I dealt with Red and Belly, or Red Belly, and just the humour of those two guys, Red and Belly, that was really good. I appreciated that. That was funny. A lot of camera again, aren't I? I like Red and Belly. They were quite funny. So I like the humour in it. I think the humour's better than in the American Borderlands, but I think it's just because the Australian humour's probably better. Have a quick look at chat in a moment. But yeah, it's, I don't know, there's something about it just doesn't grab me as much. Not as much. Doodle-doodle-doodle-doo. Although I do intend to. I've not actually tried it yet because I've not even done that yet. But at some point, I do need to go and play it as Claptrap. I haven't tried that yet. Yeah, I haven't tried that. That should be fun. That sounds interesting, actually. Now, this is the tricky bit because you've got all these little panels here and there's so many edges. And which bits do I chip and which bits don't I chip? It's like, oh, seems very complicated. Is that like an edge or is it just flat? It's just flat. So many edges to do here. Edges? We don't need no stinking edges, senor. But this would be scraped and scuffed because this is kind of ground level on the road, so. Now, the thing to keep in mind when doing this chipping is, at this stage, it will look really, really obvious. Especially when it's just the green colour. It will look obvious. And it will be quite bold. And you'll be like, oh, I've done too much. Oh, it's... No. Don't worry. It's fine. Because I looked at my Taurox Prime that I did a couple of months ago. And when you look at that, when I put the chipping on that, it was kind of dead bold. It was like a real light grey, which kind of stood out. But when it eventually had its weathering and its a gunk wash with enamels and other bits and bobs, and once all that had gone on, it's almost actually, you can almost hardly see it now. It's almost like, where did all the chipping go? It's just gone, vanished. So it will blend in and fade away. It will vary, don't worry, don't panic. Now I am making a rod for my own back here, because the problem we've got here is that it's going to take me a lifetime to do this. And like I've said before, these are being done for tabletop play. If I spend a week painting the chipping on each vehicle, I'll be a very old man before I even get time to play. So this may not be the most prudent option for you if you want to paint things quickly and get them on the tabletop. Not on camera, not on camera. Hey, where's my goddamn camera? Right. Right, there's the spot, there's the spot. So yeah, this is going to take me approximately all the time in the world to paint this, but that's fine, that's fine. So yes, are you out there stoked for Borderlands 3? I am stoked for Borderlands 3. I didn't like Borderlands 2 at first, I'll be honest. I like Borderlands. I love Borderlands to bit, and then I was like, Borderlands 2 is alright. But then over the years, I kind of mellowed to it, and I got to like it more. Honestly, it just kind of grew on me in time. I still think the original Borderlands was the best. I think the only reason I wasn't that keen on Borderlands 2 was I was in a grump because they got rid of, or there were no real good caustic combat rifles. Borderlands 1, I used to love my three round fire, 3-round when zoomed caustic combat rifles. I used to love those. Love the crap out of those things. They were my go-to weapons. And they didn't really have them in. They kind of weren't as good in Borderlands 2, the combat rifles. I'm going to paint that there because that's a bit messy. This is going to take me approximately all my life, isn't it? But the thing is, I don't mind. I don't mind because I enjoy doing this. This is, if you're doing paint chipping, get yourself a nice podcast, some music to listen to, or if you've got podcasts and things that you like to listen to. And you see before in previous episodes where I've been saying about when I've been handling this and some of the paint's chipped off because acrylic paints are not that durable. This is what I mean when I say don't worry about it, because now I'm doing chipping. I can cover up any bits where paint's actually chipped off with the light colour or the rust colour. Or I can just not bother and it'll just blend in. On this very thin edge here, what I like to do on thin edges is sometimes just paint lots of little straight lines. Like that. That's just a quick way of looking at getting chipping done on thin straight edges like that, you see? Okay, so that's that. Got lots more to do. I'll get this green coat done on here and then we'll have a look at the chat. This bit here. The challenge is though, things like this where it's recessed and there's not a lot of detail. So I might paint all the bits around it first just to get my brain into know what exactly is going on. And you know, you might be thinking I've gone too far with the chipping on this bit. But keep in mind again, some of this is going to be covered up with a rust colour or filled in. And it's going to have a dirt and dust on this bit anyway, so you could technically not even do this bit. But I'm going to. Let's start with a chip there. You do get chips in the middle of nowhere. And what I like to do is have like a shape like that. And then what I'll do, if I get my brush with a sort of flatness, I'll do a line coming out like that. One here. And it just then looks like some kind of impact or ping. And if you can try and make the line peter out and fade away, even better. Because what I'll do, I'll have little dots coming off. I'll do a splob shape like that. It's like an impact spot. And then I'll have these bits going like that out. But I'll thicken them towards this end and have little dots in the middle of nowhere. Just to suggest. So what that suggests to me, even without the next colour on top, is something's impacted here at an angle, and then it's gone. The debris has come off like that and from the centre, angled out, and it's skittered across the paint and taken more little chips with it. So maybe the bits of shrapnel or something. So you have that kind of impact shape. So it's gone ping and then fanned out. I love doing that. Just every now and then. And then when I'll put some rust in the middle of that as well. But it just gives it a dynamic shape then. Just gives it a dynamic look that something's gone off there. Because some of this is just wear and tear where paint's come across from the edge. Because as soon as paint is near an edge, it peels away and then water can get under it and expose it. This is more like something's gone zing off the surface and really pinged it. And that's what I love about chipping. And one other thing you can do, if you're not doing chipping and stuff, but you want to do, say, a sci-fi vehicle with a heat impact, do that. Exactly that, but do it with Starship Filth Oil paint. Do a blob. Don't thin it first. Do a blob of the paint, and then with a little tiny bit of thinner, just do exactly the same thing. Dots, and then when it's dried, dry brush a little smear of it very delicately to get a kind of smoky effect, and you'll get a nice heat scoring blast then. I'll probably show you one of those one day, but a nice heat scoring blast mark. It's just practicing that shape, the kind of splat with bits fanning out shape. That's the kind of thing you want to get practicing. Just suggest that instead of just something being dragged across the surface, something's pinged, something's exploded or impacted, and little bits of debris and shrapnel have skittered out across the surface. In the same way, if you look at an impact crater on, from an asteroid or whatever, you always got the big crater shape, and then you've got the little sort of not arms, but you've got the bits that fan out and spread out from the edge. They all point to the centre. They all point back to the centre. But the idea is that they're just fanning out. It's just debris that's spooged around. Spooged isn't the right word at all. What am I talking about? This is the most painting I've done on a stream, this, I think. Do let me know how this is coming out on camera and stuff, how it looks, because I'm never happy with the way painting close-up stuff works, which is why I'm struggling to figure out how I would ever do a live stream where I'm painting figures. So do let me know. Anyway, it's time for me to ask that question. The most important question of every day, of every stream that I ever do, and you know what the question is. Dad? What's the question, Dad? You know what the phrase is. Colin, you know it as well. What's the phrase? I shall wait for you to type it in chat. It's the question we have to ask every time. Also, I have to ask the question why. Yeah, we go. Dad says bench and belly. Good girl. Thanks, Dad. Yes. What's on your bench? We've kind of done that bit already, but if you weren't here really, what's on your bench? And what is your plan? What are you going to have for dinner, or what have you had for dinner? Because it's about this time of day, between, when I wake up and when I go to bed, that I start to get hungry. So, I'd like to know what you guys are having for your dinner, because then it gives me ideas for what I shall have for my dinner. Last night we had sausages. I made sausage and chips and sweet corn. But it wasn't just any old bog standard sausages. No. These were these little sausages that it's like sausage and black pepper, and they're quite nice. But they're kind of half as thick as normal sausages. So instead of a pack of 6, it's like a pack of 12. You get 12 of them. But there's no point me thawing out 6 of them, because that's half a meal. They're only half the size. So what I did was I basically just thawed out all 12. Mama Fox has 2 because she eats like a, to quote Star Trek, she eats like a bean and she's full. And so I had like 10 of these little sausages and chips and sweet corn. It's very nice. They're very most pleasant. But my favourite at the minute seems to be pork and apple sausages. Oh, very nice. Now you can see here I'm being a bit less careful with the chipping on these bits, and that's purely because a lot of this is going to vanish under the weathering. Now I know right now it looks kind of weird. It looks kind of odd. It's really strange because it's really extreme. But you have to keep in mind the light green will fade in and blend in better with the dark green, everything else later on once it's all weathered up. So it does look a bit weird. You do one panel, it looks fantastic. You do all this, and you're like, "Eh, you've ruined it now. You've had a Bob Ross moment and ruined it." But trust me, it will come back once it's weathered and most of this disappears. You'll be like, "Ah, I shouldn't have doubted you. Should never have doubted you. Forgive me, Uncle Fox. I should never have had the doubt in my mind, doubt in my heart." So, no, you shouldn't. You should not ever doubt. Yes, it doesn't always work, but sometimes it will come back looking a bit ass. But if you're lucky, it will all come together. So we've got most of that done now. I need to put some little bits and bobs in here in these areas, because it would look a bit weird if there was nothing at all. Sometimes it's fun to make chips be in corners, conform to corners, like that there. Just a little bit in a corner, because it looks like you've got to think logically about paint chipping. Is why does paint chip? It's either because something scraped or scratched it. There's been some kind of violent damage to the paint and it's kind of scraped the paint away. Or, you know, it could be any other reason. Or something's impacted off it or pinged it. Now, see there? I've got a scratch going right the way across there, just to add to some depth to it. Or it could be, you know, lots of other reasons. Now, I'm not going to do the red bit yet, because I'm going to get all my green stuff done first, but the red will be exactly the same, using a light colour and then the darks in the middle. So that's that bit almost done. Actually, this top bit here. So, yeah, so when you're doing the chipping like this and you are getting to this point of just putting the first colour down, don't panic if it just looks terrible. Because trust me, the rust will bring it back. That man's jet washing something again. I think he's doing a driveway. I don't know what he's doing. At least he's keeping the trigger pulled this time. He's rather just leaving it. He's not blipping it constantly, which is very annoying. It's like you've been doing it now for about 2 hours. How many cars have you got? It's craziness. Now, what I might do here, a bit more intense on this part of the tracking, because this is the front of the tracks, obviously, where things would impact. People are shooting at this damn tank. So we're going to have scratches and scrapes. And again, I'm not being too careful or delicate here, because I want to suggest more wear and tear on these surfaces, especially on that sort of bit there that you probably weren't seeing very well. There we go. Try not to get it on the track, obviously, because that will be a bit silly. Green paint exposed on a metal track. Yes. So there we go, that's that bit. Again, it might look terrible now, but if we're lucky, I mean, it might not. It might just come out looking completely terrible. It might be complete ass. For all I know, I may have made a right mess of it. Who can say? But I'm fairly confident that this bit will be mostly covered in dirt and dust anyway. So there you go. So we've just got the top bit to do. Walter Wilmoth says, hello, I'm a bit late, but driving to get some country ham and eggs. Ooh, ham and eggs. Hungry now. Hungry like me. So this bit here is tricky because this is a top edge. I don't want to go too crazy with this bit. Get that edge covered. I shall check on the chat, folks, in a moment. Do. I should be with you shortly. It's going to take me a lifetime to do this now, isn't it? Yes. Okay. So yes, it looks very weird. But trust me, it will eventually all come together. Eventually. Fingers crossed. He says. Crossing all the fingers. All the fingers. Okay, so that's there. Just got the top bit to do. Now, I will admit, I don't like doing bits like this. I don't like doing these kind of little strips. I much prefer panels, because panels always look good when you finish chipping them. But these kind of things can look good or terrible. It's kind of a 50-50 chance, really. So I'm never that keen on these kind of sort of little steps and ridges and things. Don't float my boat. Don't float my boat. Also, I'm not getting such a great point on this brush for some reason. I'm out. A little bit of water in the paint because it's going a bit stodgy. A little bit stodgy. So as for my my bench and belly, well, you know what's on my bench. My belly, no idea. Don't know what's for tea tonight. Who can say what is possibly for dinner tonight? Well, me, because I'll be making it. But I know not so far what it may be. I'm sure it'll be something nice and delightful. By the way, if you can hear that jet wash, that Karcher kind of from outside, and it's in the background and really annoying because I'm spending a lot of time not talking here, do let me know. I can always close the window. Get rid of it. Make it go away. Or I could just go around and just break it. Excuse me, crack. Thanks. And then just run. Probably not a good idea. Okay, so I think that's going to do for there. See, I don't like painting these kind of bits, but at the same time, these are going to be heavily weathered, so I'm not too fussed. Not too fussed by this. Okay, so that's the green bit. Green bit done. What I shall do, I shall put my lid on my palette. I shall have a look at I shall have a swig of the coffees. I shall see what the chat is doing. I shall put that there so you can see what's actually happening. Yeah, that looks, if you look at it now, you might think, that looks terrible. I don't even know what's going on there. But keep in mind, I'm going along with the Warhammer ethic. These things can be hundreds of years old. It needs to be battered. And a lot of this will blend away once, I'm hoping a lot of this will blend away once I do any weathering on top. So, let's see. Right, so, let's have a look. Chris at Gross Model says, what's for dinner? Jamie Bones says, bench 148th, Airfix Merlin, belly, roast chicken with all the trimmings, and Victoria sponge for pudding. Woo, Victoria sponge. Print Guru says, tonight it's a roast chicken with mashed Swede and broccoli. Ooh, I love Swede. Paul Di Tommaso, hey Paul, says, roast chicken. For lunch, by the way, I had a pot noodle. It was a quickie lunch. Earl D says, fry up in an hour or so. Nurgle Terminators just winding down from the Nurgle Rhino. Yeah, that was good. If you didn't see it, Earl D put his picture of his Rhino up in the boom. It's the one where he's used all the textured Grell and Earth and stuff to make the sort of gory textures on it. It looks really nice. It's really cool. Good job. Snowman HFC is clearly in student mode because he's having tuna pasta bake. In my day, that was, how do we used to make it? A load of macaroni, tuna, cheese, and like many packets of ready salted crisps. Get it in the oven. Done. Tuna pasta bake. Real student food, that. I used to pretend I was a student. I was never a student, so I used to pretend I was a student by making that. What colour should I do the chipping on my orange Taurox, says Chris at Grove Models. Well, you always want to go for a colour that's lighter than the base colour. So if, for example, if I painted... Let's see if I've got a couple of paints here right with me right now. Well, like this one. I mean, you know, I painted... It's not the same colour, but it's kind of like if I used that colour for painting a base colour, I'd use, say, that colour for the chip, for the light colour. The only colour you have to think about is the light colour, really. And the reason why a lot of this will hide is because a lot of this will disappear like it did here to be a little tiny outline. It's really just the outline of the bit. So whatever your base colour is, just go for something that's a little lighter. I don't know which oranges you used. An orange is quite difficult. So you might not necessarily want to go for an orange. Well, I mean, if you're really stuck, if it was just... I can't remember which colours you used. If you just used a basic colour, just if you need to, you could just add some white to that. And then use that colour. But it might just be that if you've got, say, Troll Slayer orange, there's probably a slightly lighter orange that goes like Fire Dragon Bright, which I haven't got here, I don't think. Haven't got it here, but I think Fire Dragon Bright might be a little more lighter. Just a lighter colour of the orange. And then what goes in the middle of that is whatever you want. If you want it to be rusty, then you just use a rust colour like Rhinox hide. Or you can have bare metal. When I do the dozer blade here, there'll be lots of green, but there'll be bare metal underneath. It won't be rust, because I'm going to make out like this is a different kind of metal, and also it's constantly scraping and scratching, so it doesn't get a chance to rust quite as much. I don't know, I'm making it up. Or you could do a dark colour, like I said, Abaddon Black's quite nice, but I actually like the Rhinox hide, because it's dark enough that when you put when I do a gunk wash later on with some enamels over this, it will darken that to almost black anyway, so... Just go for a lighter colour. And if you want to do a 3-colour chip, you can do the light colour as a blob. So you do your light blob first. Then in the middle, you do your rust or your bare metal or your dark black or grey, whatever you want to colour you want to do. And it's just there to suggest either bare metal, rust or primer underneath the paint. And then what you do is you get a 3rd colour that's even lighter than the first one. And you paint that on the bottom of the chip. Where if you had, say, a circle, I'll do a little diagram for you. I'll do a diagram. Here we go. Imagine, my friends, you have a paint chip. You have a paint chip. You paint one on like that. There's a paint chip. You paint this in the light colour. So that's, say, your very light green. Then what you do is you paint most of it. Maybe not all of it, but maybe you paint chunks of it like that, or you could do a solid block with your dark colour, be it mud or brown or black or whatever you want it to be. So you've got the light bits now. Let's just make that one big blob, just as easy. And then what you do is you get a colour that's lighter than this one. So you've got a base colour here. You've got secondary base. So that's a colour that's the same as the base but lighter. You've got a dark here. That's your undercoat. It's supposed to represent either primer, bare metal or rust. And then what you do is you get a 3rd base and you paint it over the top of this bit, but at the bottom only. So you paint it here. Like that. And that will be your tertiary or 3rd base colour. And this one is lighter than the secondary base, because it's supposed to suggest that this is the base colour of the thing you painted, say green. This light green colour here is where the paint has chipped away and it's exposed clean paint underneath that's not as dirty and weathered as the stuff on top. So it's taken the surface off, but it's still got green paint, but it's cleaner. And this one down here is where the light shines down and just catches the bottom of the paint chip. Because remember, if you look at a paint chip, if you've got a paint chip on the surface, you've got something there and there's a chip in the surface. If you look at it from the side, technically, if you magnified it, it would be a chip in the paint. You'd have a surface and an edge, so side on it would look like that. You'd have paint there and you'd have a chip. So the light would catch on that bottom edge. So you don't have to do that, but if you want to, you could have an extra sort of a second highlight colour, just as a very thin line at the bottom, on anywhere where there's an edge that will be facing up. So on this bit it's facing down, but on this bit it's facing up. Or some people do, this bit will be a dark colour, and this bit will be a light colour. You can vary it around, but you could go that. I'm not going to go that far on these because that will take me forever, but you can do that. Chris Pink says Jamie Brown. Yeah, you can do. With an orange, you can go into pastel shades, like pastel oranges and pastel yellows and things. It's basically a light. If you're ever not sure, though, just mix some white or yellow into whatever colour you've based it with, and that'll do your highlight colour. White may, if you add white to a bright colour like red or orange, it will make it go a pastel shade, so it'll turn it more peach. If you add yellow, it'll make it lighter, but keep it bold and bright. So do some experiments. I like to do, when I do red things, how do I do red now? I will do, for example, if I painted something with Mephiston red, then I would do the first, I'd paint the thing red, I'd do the first highlight with something like Evil Sun Scarlet, or the other one that's bright red, that I can't remember what it's called, might be Wazdaka red, but then for an extra highlight, I might use something like Pink Horror as a highlight. As a second highlight, or maybe even the first highlight, because that compared to that is not too different than that compared to that. So just have fun with it, but keep in mind a lot of it will vanish once you do all the weathering. It'll disappear anyway, so all that hard work will vanish. This won't look quite as bitty and scratchy and messy once it's gone. And keep in mind, it looks more extreme on this camera here that you're looking at. It's not quite as extreme as that. Looks like camouflage, but it's not. It's not quite as bold and bright as that. Cynical Mank is having fish and chips. Chip it with purple, says Christy Tomaso. Paul Di Tomaso, even. I'm going to have coffee with my lady, says James Lorimore. Cool. Enjoy. Walter Wilner says sorry. I don't know what you're saying sorry for, Walter. Just put jam on the ham, says Jamie Bone. Candygram from Mongo. Food. I'm rehydrating dried wild mushrooms now for dinner. Pasta, chicken, and wild mushrooms. Oh, that sounds really nice. What kind of pasta are we having? Tubes. My favourite is tagliatelle. I love tagliatelle. Are they special mushrooms? Asked Paul. And Candygram says, no, I doubt it. The store bought. Aidan Jones says, bench equals Tau Empire, crisis battlesuits, belly equals no clue. That's a good plan. I like that one. Sergeant Bones says, I knew I was forgetting something. Where is Sergeant Bones? Vasily says, with red, welcome Vasily. Vasily says, red paint mixed with browns, yellows when painting red, never mix in white. Yeah, it's true. Whenever you want to make a lighter version of a colour, you can mix in white, but it will make the colour go pastel. It makes reds go pinks. It turns oranges into peach colours. It turns yellows into just kind of pale, weak yellows. If you've got like a red or an orange or a yellow, well, not a yellow, but if you've got a red or an orange, you can add yellow to it. Adding yellow to red makes it brighter, well, makes it lighter without making it faded. Of course, if you're trying to recreate the RS Cosworth Escort, not a Cosworth, the Escort RS that lives around the corner from me that hasn't been washed in about 25 years and has been sat in the sun and has gone pink, then you'd be adding white to the red because it really is kind of like that red, pink, faded Ford paint job. It's brilliant. Right, swig coffee. Oh. I think what we'll do is I will get some tissue to get all the coffee out of my moustache because I've got a litre of coffee in my moustache now. Frankie Ghost Hobbywood says tomato mozzarella pesto sandwich. Ooh. Sounds good. I shall do some sticker giveaways in a moment, I think, before we crack on with the next step, doing the rusty bits. Like I say, I know it looks a bit weird. It doesn't look that bold and bright and obvious when you see it in real life. It's a lot more subtle anyway. Right, so it's going to be sticker giveaway time. I was going to do something then. I was going to say something. There was something I was going to say, and I've got no idea what it was, but I need to zoom out again. There we go. I was going to say something, and the thing I was going to say was no idea. Oh well. Can't remember. Anyway, yes. So we're going to do some sticker giveaways in a moment. Don't forget, as always, just a quick recap. We have a new stream boss. Simon Reynolds is our new stream boss, not me. I screwed it up and pressed the wrong button. So Simon Reynolds, or Kevin, as he's now to be called from now on, is your new stream boss. If you want to have a chance to win, when Simon won, he became the stream boss, and he won £10 short of 500 quid's worth of model kit. He won £490 of Games Workshop stuff. If you want to win, you have to get knocking the health down of the stream boss, which is Simon, not me. And you can do that through doing either liking and subscribing this channel, which takes a small amount of a health off. You can do a tip through the tip jar, which is down here. It's streamlabs.com/modelmakingguru. Or you can do a super chat in the chat. And if you're in the live typey chat, the little dollar symbol at the bottom of the chat window is the super chat. The more you put through as the tip or the super chat, the more of Simon's health it takes off. And all that money raised goes into the pot. And if you get that person to 0 and you become the stream boss, you then win all the money in the pot. You win models to the value of all the money in the pot. I order them for you. So get your tips and super chats coming through. He's down to 981,093. No, 98,193. So quite a way to go yet. So get your tips and super chats coming through. If you'd like to, if you can't join in the live chat, by the way, the chat is here, you can see it, but if you want to join in the typey chat, hit the YouTube icon at the bottom of the screen, and that will take you to the YouTube channel where you can join in the typey chat. Zadster's in. Afternoonings, folks, he says. Welcome, Zadster. Right, we have some new stickers to give away. Whee! Thanks to Dad, who sent me these. We have obviously my own stickers, Model Making Guru. We have some of the Sprue Crew stickers. Sprue Crew, like and subscribe. So it's it's upside down as well. It's a loose coalition of a group of YouTuber model makers, including Dad and Colin at Festa and others, recent RJC models and so on. Good group, a bunch of dudes. So if you want to win a wow, I can't talk. Hang on. Oh, coffee. I'm having trouble talking today. I'm having trouble with my words. Use your words, Fox. Use your words. Oh, you can win, of course, Dad's channel, Scaly Models. And of course, if you're in chat and you have a YouTube channel, do feel free to pimp it in chat. You're more than welcome to. You have a model making related channel. Now, before we do the sticker giveaways, I need to write words on the back. As always, don't forget, what you need to do before we do this is to refresh your browser and drag the slider to the right hand side. So refresh and drag, because the chat is usually out of sync. Oh, sorry. The chat is usually out of sync with the video by now. And the way I do this is whoever gets the question right in chat first wins a sticker. I see chat the way YouTube has chat. If you type the answer and it appears instantly on your computer, that's because it's gone from your keyboard to your screen. It's gone like about 3 feet. It still has to get to YouTube. So what you see chat at your end is nothing like what YouTube sees. So if you want to minimize any lag and want a chance to win, then make sure to refresh your browser screen. I've lost my pen. Refresh your browser window and drag the slider to the right hand side to make sure you've got little lag as possible. On this one, I'm going to write the word shrooms. I'm going to make that into eyes for no reason. And for this one, I'm going to write the word I'm going to write the word squigs. There you go. So we've got squigs and shrooms, and of course this one is my really badly scribbled sketch of how to do a paint chip. Sergeant Brown says, "It just me, or does that tank look a lot like a World War I Mark IV with British markings?" They do have this wonderful World War I look to them. Some of the Forge World stuff for Deathcore of Krieg looks even more. It's amazing, some of it. I think this looks like a Matilda, a World War II Matilda, with the 3 slats down there. It's got a kind of Matilda look to it. I like that. Right, so anyway, let's do these. So anyway, yes, as always, I'm going to move this chat away because I need to go into my email now, and I can't have you guys seeing my email because obviously people's email addresses will be in there, and that's exposing people's personal private data, so I can't do that. So, turn my keyboard on. So let's have a look. Anybody sent me some stickers? Okay, we have a question from Isaac Ing, who sent this in last week. Thank you for those, Isaac. I will, of course, send you a sticker. If I use your question, if you send me your questions and answers to use on the Sunday stream, and I use your question and answers, I won't use all of them, but if I do use any of them, I'll send you an sticker, so make sure to include your name and address. We have a question. I won't ask the first one because that was so specific that nobody'd actually get it. Even Simon couldn't remember it. I will ask the second one. Okay, so anyway, yes. This one is a little bit contemporary. So first question, it's a Warhammer question. Now, obviously, there's a number of different answers here. I just need to double check something. 1 second. I'm going to do a little bit of verification. I don't normally verify these because I can't be bothered. But I'm just going to do a little bit of verification. I think the person's right. I just need to remember myself what the hell it is I'm talking about so I can remember how to describe it. Okay, right. Okay, yes. As we know, Games Workshop from time to time do wonderful box sets where they have, like, you know, 2 different armies and bits and bobs and all the stuff to play with, like really nice box sets. Almost everything you need to play a game. What was the latest one released? Go. Jar Jar Binks, says Paul Di Tommaso. Episodes 1 to 3, says Sergeant Bones. Dunkel Gelb, says Sergeant Bones. They don't seem to put as much effort into tanks that they put into characters. And straight away, the print guru is in with Shadow Spear, which is the answer I have here on this email sent to me by Isaac King. So, well done. The print guru, well done. If you win a sticker today, send me an email to fox@modelmakingguru.com and send me your name and your address and tell me which sticker you want. Print guru, I need you to tell me which one you want. Do you want Shrooms, Squigs, or the Stone Chip? Easier to say. Do you want Scaly Models, Sprue Crew? I've got the pot noodle burps. It's fantastic. Model Making Guru, Scaly Models, or the Sprue Crew. Let me know which one you want. Yes. So if you are waiting, as always, I've got a big pile of stickers here to send out. I only get to the post office once a month or so, so they'll be waiting to go out for a little while. If you've already won a sticker in previous weeks, and you haven't yet received it, don't panic, you will get it eventually, but you do need to send me another email each time you win a sticker, so I know. If I've got 5 emails from you, then I know there's probably 5 stickers waiting for you. Print Guru says Squigs, so he's getting the Scaly Model sticker, so well done. I shall write on this with words, Print Guru. That is yours, my friend. Okay, next, so we've got 2 left. Let's come up with another question. Okay, I need to label that email, but I'll do that later because I don't understand. Oh no, there we go. I'm going to add a sticker to an email. It's not very exciting. There we go. Right, so next question I'm going to have to pull out of my ass because I haven't got any more. So let's think of a question. Okay, Borderlands. Okay. In Borderlands, there's a weapons manufacturer who you probably don't remember. There'll be a weapon manufacturer in Borderlands 3 who we haven't seen since Borderlands 1. Which one is it? Go. George Gabriel says Tiny Tina. Tiny Tina's awesome. Tiny Tina is the best character ever. Faisal is in. Hey, Faisal. So which weapons manufacturer are we going to see in Borderlands 3 that we haven't seen since Borderlands 1? And when I found this out, I'm like, yeah, I've actually forgotten even that they existed. We haven't seen them since they weren't in Borderlands 2 and they weren't in the pre-sequel and they weren't in Tales from the Borderlands. And I bet it takes a while because I had forgotten all about these people. I'm like, yeah, I forgot about them. They were kind of replaced by the bandit weapons and then the scav weapons in other games. So, but we're going to get them back in Borderlands 3. Now, there are potentially 2 answers here, but I've got one in mind. Doodle doodle doo doodle doo doodle. George Gabriel's answering all the other weapons manufacturers. Remember, they weren't in Borderlands 2, and they weren't in Borderlands pre-sequel, and they weren't in Tales from the Borderlands. I've forgotten even about them. Everybody's Googling now Borderlands weapons. If you'd asked me to list manufacturers, I wouldn't have included these guys. Can't believe I've stumped you all. I seem to have broken you all. Deedle 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 deedle. Oh. Everybody's Googling. They were fast as lightning. Nobody's got it yet. Bob's guns, not quite. One of the traits was they had bigger clips than everybody else. Dude, I may have to time this one out. Nobody's answering. You all Google really slowly. You all need to work on your Google. Ah, there we go. George Gabriel, S&S. Well done. S&S Munitions, yes. I was watching the thing and I'm like, God, I've forgotten about them. S&S Munitions, yes. They were in Borderlands 1. They had deeper, bigger magazines than everybody else. That was the thing. You could kill someone and still have bullets left over in the clip. And then they vanished from Borderlands 2 and pre-sequel and Tales from the Borderlands. So S&S Munitions, there you go. Wow. Vasily says, Borderlands, I have a copy unopened, so I have no idea. You need to play Borderlands, and you need to play Borderlands 2, and you need to play the pre-sequel, and you need to do it. You need to play them. You have to do it. Don't care what platform, just do it. The bigger clips gave it away. Yes, there you go. So I can't believe everybody got stumped. A little bit googling. So George, would you like a me or would you like a sprue crew? Let me know which one you want. Shrooms, I suppose. You don't sound very, very keen there, George. Well done. Thank you very much. That's yours then, George. Your sprue crew. G'day, bro. G'day, bro. It's a sprue crew. That leaves one of mine behind. Mine's always the last one picked to be on the team. There you go. Think of another question now. Got to think of a question. And the question is something from my bane. Oh, Paul Di Tomasa says, fire check time, be right back. I shall wait then till Paul comes back. I shall talk inanely for 5 minutes while Paul does his check. We all have 50 of yours, says George Gabriel. Yeah, everybody's got like 35 of my stickers. I don't know. I've got to think of a question now anyway. Thinking of a question, using my brain. Can't think of a question. Bim. Okay, hang on. I need to do a little bit of research again because I've got to remind myself. I'm thinking. Doodle-doo-doo. Right, there we go. Okay, right. Paul's got one of yours too, Fox. Everybody's got one of mine. Right, here we go. Right, question time. Last question. It's another Borderlands one, so get your Google Foo ready if you don't know your Borderlands. Okay. Borderlands 2. I'm on a Borderlands. I love Borderlands. Borderlands 2. In one of the DLCs, Tiny Tina gets all the Vault Hunters to play a tabletop role-playing game that's a rip-off of Dungeons and Dragons. It's hilarious DLC. The DLC is fantastic. It's so funny. And it's also slightly sad, but it's so funny. Vasily says, I'm out. No, it depends, mate. Everybody might Google this, so it just needs a bit of Google foo. How fast you are. So, in that DLC, they're playing this Dungeons and Dragons game. What is the Dungeons and Dragons game called? Go. What's the game actually called? You're all answering before I even finished asking the question. I might have changed the question if you got it right. I'd be like, no, you've already answered it. It's too late. I have a different question now. So what is the game called that they're playing? Vasily says not a cheater. No, everybody else is Googling it, Vasily. Don't worry about it. Because nobody knows. They're all like, don't know. Cheeseman says Osric. So what is the name of the tabletop role-playing game that Tiny Tina is making them all play. Classic line from when they're doing that is each of the Vault Hunters has to choose a character, and Brick decides that he's going to have his Vault Hunter will be a siren, and his siren is called Brick, and she's very pretty. Paul Di Tommaso, what's the tabletop game that they play in Borderlands Tiny Tina's DLC, Borderlands 2, the fake Dungeons and Dragons game? What's the game called? Do. Not the name of the DLC, the name of the game they're playing. Wow, you guys are not into your video games. Simon Reynolds, no, not. That's the name of the DLC. Not after the name of the DLC. It's the game they're actually playing. Yes, George, again, finally. Bunkers and Badasses is the name of the game. Well done, George. I guess you'll be wanting that one. You've got another one of mine. Bunkers and Badasses. Wow. I thought you guys would have more been your Borderlands appreciators, really, but I've guessed you wrong. I apologise. It's only me that's quickly into that kind of nonsense. Yes, Bunkers and Badasses. I said it way up there, says George. Did you? Where? Oh, God, you did. Ages ago. My apologies. I do apologise. I didn't even spot that. That's me just not paying attention, isn't it? Right, that's me put in my place. I do apologise, George. Yeah, he did. He put it ages ago and then I totally didn't notice it. Oh, well, never mind. I knew it. I got all the stickers, says Sergeant Bones. There you go. So, yes, well done, George. Bunkers and Badasses. If you've got Borderlands 2 and you never played that DLC, go and get it. It's hilarious. It is brilliant. Thank you to everyone, as in George, who won most of those stickers. Well done to both of you. We'll do more next week. Let's crack on. It's funny because I have actually played that game, but you know memory and age, says Cine. My memory's getting worse, but yes. Right, I need to get the brush. I need to get my wet palette. Where did I put my wet? There it is. So there we go. Some stickery giveaways. Jolly good. I need to put the tablet back so I can see the chattings. Doodle doodle doo doo. Chatty. There we go. Bunkers and Badasses. Yeah, if you've never played Borderlands, you've got to play it. Who was it that said it? It was Vasily, wasn't it? Yeah, Vasily. If you've got it but never played it, it was the first ever real sort of loot shooter, and it started the whole thing. But nobody's beaten it. Nobody's beaten it. Right. Next, we need to do some more chipping. Now we need to do the rusty colour in the middle of these chips. So let's zoom in again. Where's the camera? There's the camera. So remember we did this, and remember it doesn't look as bad as that. That's got a kind of Borderlands look to it, but it doesn't look as bad as that in real life. What we're going to do is we're going to go now back. We're going to get the Rhinox hide. Somebody's cooking something somewhere. I can smell onions, but it's not a pleasant onion smell. It's a kind of, ooh, not that nice. Now this bit here, there's a bit where it kind of looks like the same chip over two different panels, so I'm going to fill that in with the rust there. And this is where the process of taming these chips starts. Bringing them back down to reality, making them look less cartoony in a way. It will continue, obviously, with more weathering later on. But the process starts here. So the Rhinox hide I'm using, like if you missed it before at the start of the show, I'm using the Rhinox hide as a dark brown colour, just for the observer to see it as either a sort of dark. There's another strand on this brush that's sticking out. It's doing my head in. Hang on. Scissor time. It's just really supposed to suggest. There's that strand now. A dark undercoat colour, perhaps, or potentially just a dark rust colour. But once there's more weathering on top, I can't find this hair now. I've got to try and find this hair. Move that out of the way. It's one single strand stick. There it is. Come away. There we go. Get that off. Yes, it's just supposed to simulate, really, either a dark primer colour. Yeah, no, I'm going to do, I'm going to actually make my life a little easier. I'm going to put that brush away, do that later, and instead I'll use a brush I can absolutely trust, which is my Winsor & Newton Series 7 Double Aught. There you go. We can trust that one not to be a pain in the bum. So anyway, yes, the brown is supposed to be either a randomly brown undercoat colour, like a primer colour, that the fictitious primer colour that goes under the paint, or it could just be rust. Once it's been weathered and there's other weathering on top, it'll look a lot darker anyway, so it's easily mixed into the two. It can be mistaken for either. Much better brush, there we go. There we go. And sometimes when you're doing these little chips, it's a much better brush. It's nice to sometimes don't always fill the entirety of the green chip with your rust colour. Like here, for example, what I could do is I could put a bit there, and then I could leave a little bit there, and just have little gaps. Because sometimes you might have an island of the light colour or the original base green colour in the middle of a rust chip. You might have a little tiny flake of paint that's been survived and somehow hasn't been scraped off in the middle of another chip. So try and keep it varied and random. Now I do have to warn you here, yeah, when it comes to next week, we're probably going to be doing chipping again, because I may not have a lot of time this evening to carry on with this, and it is a long drawn out job, and I don't really get, I've got so much backlogged at the minute, I don't get a chance to do a lot of stuff like this in my own time. I'm trying to get other things done and out of the way, so it might well be the case that we're still doing chipping next week. But hey, you don't come here to listen to me waffle on, you come here to talk to your friends in the chat. That's what we're all here for. So we're just filling in some of these chips, some big, some small. Can have one there. This big one here, this big green sort of impact mark, I might only put, for example, I might not do a big chip in the middle of that. I might do some little tiny chips and just keep it like that. Or I might just paint it in. You can do it however you want. Take it as it comes and just go with the flow. Try and keep the green outline minimal. But with this one, with the skittering, I'll try and do little dots here and there. So it just has that kind of, something's pinged off, and now it's got that there. But this will, of course, all blend in later on anyway. You'll see when we do the weathering later how it all kind of blends together. This one down here will get a bit of rust going on. This is one of those stages at which it's very easy to get disheartened and think, oh, I've ruined it, it's terrible. But don't. Just stick with it. It'll all come good in the end. Trust me on this. And the thing with any kind of painting like this, time and time again, I say, and I fall for it myself sometimes as well, you start a paint job and in your brain you think it's like that model you're working on right then is the most important thing in the world. And if it starts to go a bit wrong, you start to panic. And you start to, oh no, I've ruined it. Oh, at the end of the day, especially with Warhammer stuff that you can pretty much mostly build and then paint once it's built. At the end of the day, if it all goes a bit pear-shaped, you can just strip the paint off and start again. There's nothing lost when something goes wrong. I see people get panicky and I do it myself, like I say, you go, oh, I've ruined it, oh, there's one thing, and you just get angry and you get stressed out. But just keep that in mind. If it does go wrong, just strip the paint off and start again. It's not the end of the world. Because ultimately, you're just having fun. You're doing this for yourself. If you're doing a commission build, then yeah, that's quite stressful, but if you're just building these for yourself, it doesn't really matter. It's just painting plastic. If it does go wrong, get the paint off, start again. Or in many cases, you can just get the paint off and, well, not even get the paint off, but just continue to paint and work over and cover it with weathering and try and keep an open mind about what is to come in the process. Like I said, I know there's going to be dust and dirt and mud and stuff on this. I'm not too stressed by this looking a bit over the top weathered. It looks a bit OTT, but not too much. And I know there's gunk washes and stuff later on, so I'm kind of fairly confident it'll look alright. Not guaranteed. It might still look like complete ass by the time I finish, but you never know. Who can say? So in this bit here, we've got the corner piece here. I'm just going to try and fill most of this in. Try and keep in mind as well, chipping is where paint's been scraped off or pinged off or whatever. But it's also in places where perhaps water collects and then exploits a little. If you get like a little tiny chip, and then perhaps it's in a corner like down there where water might collect, and if water collects, it can then sit there and exploit that little tiny chip in the paint and work its way under the paint and start to corrode the metal underneath. And that's where you start to get, like on an old car, you get those bubbles in your paint job, because it's where it's all the rust is corroding the metal underneath. So try and keep that in mind as well. If you want to go super realistic, you don't have to. Also, I can clean up these red bits where I've gone a bit handy with the red paint. Cover it with the brown paint, there you go. Now, I've not done the chipping on the red bit yet. I'll do that separately. But it will follow the same principle. Now, this is where we need to do all these bits. And again, these are going to look a bit OTT and exaggerated. But they'll come good, don't worry. This is all on camera. Almost looks like a camouflage scheme. Not quite. I'm not doing under here because you're never going to see that. I'm not even really, when it comes to weathering, I'm probably not going to weather under here either, because I mean, I'll do under the I'll do this bit roughly, but this bit I'm not going to worry about, because this is where it's going to be in contact with the table on the tracks. This isn't, but this isn't. And if I do lots of weathering and careful stuff here, it's just going to wear off eventually anyway. So I'm not too fussed about that bit, strictly. Not too fussed about that. These bits you can see, so they get my attention. I hope Tiny Tina's in Borderlands 3 bigly, because I love Tiny Tina to bits. She's such a fantastic character. Assault on Dungeon Keep was just by far the funniest thing they've ever done in Borderlands. It was just hilarious. I absolutely adored it. Every time the characters say something, you're giggling. It's funny. There's just nothing. There's no clunker jokes. Often there's like, you think, yeah, that wasn't very funny, or that didn't really work. But that whole Assault on Dungeon Keep, the whole thing was just damn funny. Okay, so that's there. I'm going to run this brown paint into the gap between the two bits there. That was off camera, sorry. Snowman says, bye all. Need to go. I'm going to go and sleep for the wrestling tonight. Okay, Snowman, thanks for coming in, dude. I shall catch up again on the chat in a moment. I haven't done chipping on this thing, have I? Oh well. We'll get there. So I'm not really going for, you know, super realistic weathering here. Let's just be honest, it is Warhammer. It's kind of dumb. If anything, this is kind of like Borderlands, I suppose, weathering wise. So you see, I'm not doing the brown everywhere. I'm not doing every single bit of green. I'm not filling in every single little light area of green at all. I'm not going that far. And there are some bits like here where I've not done any chipping at all in the green. Just, why not? I'll just leave it as it is. It's fine. I can live with that. Some bits it just adds to the random to have where there's no chipping, because nature is completely random. The most difficult thing about this is having something to talk about while I'm doing it. It's not like it's a quick and simple process. So just having something to talk about while I'm doing it to keep you guys interested. I mean, I know I can trust you all to just talk amongst yourselves, but it's not quite why you choose to watch a live stream, is it really? A bit there, we'll fill in this bit here. The sad thing is, in a way, that all this effort and a lot of this will just vanish and disappear when it gets weathered. But hey, you know it's there. You know it's there. The other sad thing, of course, I'm doing this and thinking I've got the other side to do yet, and then I've got like the front and the top and the dozer blade. It's going to take me a while. It's going to take me a long time. Right, next bit. But in my experience, they always look a bit weird and stupid when you first do this chipping, until you do everything else. So don't lose heart if you think it looks a bit overdone or ridiculous when you first do it. It will always look a bit weird. I think I may have gone a bit too far on this one, but this is the fun of it. It's a learning experience. If I go too far on this one, I'll do too many chips, it looks a bit stupid, then I'll just pull it back a bit for the next one. If the weathering doesn't hide it, because they're all going to be very similar vehicles, I'll just pull it back a bit for the next one. It'll be fine. Absolutely fine. Okay, so think of something to talk about. What should I have for my dinner? I don't know what should I have for my dinner. I don't know if Mama Fox is watching this, so I don't know. Mama Fox, if you're watching this, what are we having for dinner? What do you want? If you're not watching this, then yeah. Oh well, never mind. Never mind. Okay, so that's that bit there. Let's get some on this top area. Paint my top area. Because what I want to do is get all the brown bits down first, and it might be in some areas I need to make them just bigger and wider areas. So I just want to get an overview of it first. So I'll get these bits painted. Just sticking to the insides. Now I'm generally sticking to the insides of these green bits and not just painting brown randomly on the other surfaces, because I want to suggest a three-dimensionality to the chips, where if you've got rusty metal exposed, then you have an edge to the paint. So if I just have a brown bit of, paint and no green around it, it's like, well, where's the edge of that? Is the light not reflecting off the edge of the paint where the rust chip is? So yeah, I want to have them within somewhere. So let's get some more of this rust down here, like this, you see. I mean, I may have gone a bit heavy with this, but like I say, a lot of this is going to be covered in. Not quite decided on the weathering we're going to do yet. I think I'll probably do a gunk wash with enamels. Enamel panel line washes. Just to give it even more depth and definition. And then I'll probably do some, I don't know how yet, but I'll get some dust and dirt effects, either dry brushed or with enamels and washed on and thinned out. We'll get more dust and dirt going on those. That's looking pretty darn good. So it looks a little fussy now, like I said before. Keep in mind, of course, when you see it there on telly, like you're looking at it now, it looks a lot more extreme. The greens look a lot darker, the bright greens look a lot lighter, the brown, it's not that extreme in real life. If you look at it in real life, it does look a bit bitty and spotty, I suppose. I've gone a bit pot noodle burps. Oh, lovely, I love that. Nothing better than pot noodle burps. I've gone maybe a bit too far with the highlight colours, maybe a little bit. Done a few too many chips here and there. I could have maybe eased off a little bit, perhaps. So I've gone a bit too far with them, but that's fine. I can live with that. It's really just seeing what works. If I was really unhappy with it, like I said, I'd just strip it and start again. But given that I'm going to have other vehicles as well, it may just be a case that this one looks a bit too overdone, and the rest will be a bit less, a bit more subtle. But that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. There you go. That's that bit done. So, next I need to do the red. Well, I'm not going to do that though, because I need to carry on with the green. So, obviously, I'll go off and do more of the green later. But let's have a look at what chat is doing. Before I do the next bit. I might actually make a start on the dozery blade. You never know. But what I'll do is I need to go and do the light green chipping on the rest of the vehicle. All of it. And then, again, go around the rest of it and put the rusty chipping in. Now, I may not have as much rusty chipping on the top of the hull, for example, or the turret, but I'll have more down here. And then on the dozer blade, I'll do some rusty chipping, but then there'll be a lot of, once all that's done, I'll have a lot of dry brushing of metallics and chipping of metallics to suggest it's the metals, although it's the same kind of metal, perhaps it's constantly being smoothed and scraped by stuff, and therefore it's kind of scraped clean regularly. So let's have a look and see what chat's doing anyway. Coffee, swig of coffee first, coffee. I mean, I could spend all evening doing this quite happily. And it probably will take me about a day to do all the chipping. Let's have a look. What is chat doing? Zasta says, I need to watch carefully. I have an orc deaf dread that I want to build as a rusty lump of junk. There's another way to do this. If you want a really rusty vehicle, and depending on the size of it, the other way to do it is to paint everything rust colour. Let me zoom out again. Hang on, let me zoom out a bit. Yeah, that's how you probably, this is the size you're probably normally going to see it. You'll see it from about 2 or 3 feet away. So you can see what it's going to look like, really. Yeah, when you can either paint like I've done, paint everything and then add the chipping afterwards. You can do it with a sponge or a brush or however you want to do it. A lot of people will just get a dark colour or black and just sponge it on. And maybe do a few rusty colours and that's about it. But I'm trying to do 3-dimensional chips. The other way to do it is to paint the whole thing rust coloured first. And then you can either, if you're airbrushing, you can airbrush your base colours on if you're using acrylics and use chipping fluids. So chipping fluids first and then you airbrush the colours on and then you chip away at the colours with water and a brush or a cocktail stick or other things to get the rust colours underneath showing through. That's one way of doing it. Or if it's a big enough model, you can paint it all rust colours and then use masking fluid, latex masking fluid to mark off where you want chips, and then you can paint the whole thing, and then you can, if you're using brush for example, and then you can just peel all the masking fluid off and your rust chips show through, and then you can start adding extra chips if you want. If you want to know how to do that, then go on this channel, on my channel here, there is a playlist, everything's in playlists. Go and look up my Ford Transit build. It might be something called Knackered Old Tranny or something like that, I can't quite remember. If one of the mods would be super kind to find that playlist and stick it in the chat, that'd be brilliant. But there's actually and what I did there was I literally painted the whole body of the transit van with a big spattery brush like that. In fact, it was this brush that I used to paint rust textures by going like this, stippling it on. You can tell because it's still got the staining from the paint. I literally painted it all one brown colour, I think to me a red brown, and then I got different brown colours and just spackled them on, stippled them on like that to get a varied rust texture. Then I masked off the body with liquid masking fluid where I wanted rust patches, painted it all blue, and then ripped all the masking fluid off, and that way you actually get a physical 3-dimensional paint chip, because you actually get your brown paint, your rust paint, with the other paint on the top, and there's an edge, a real edge. And that's one way to do it. It's a very quick way of doing it. We need an airbrush for that, ideally. But you don't have to. Yeah, not into it, matey, says Vasily about Borderlands. Bullet sponge games make me so mad. I'm all about simulations or realistic gun combat, each their own. It's not as bad as a bullet sponge, although there are bullet spongy stuff going on. It's gun porn. It's just silly gun porn. Paul says that's the fun thing about Borderlands. It's not realistic, run and gun and just mayhem. It's a blast. Yes, it is. Just, for example, I've just picked up a gun in Borderlands 2. It's a shotgun that fires swords. The swords explode on impact and release smaller swords that then fly off and explode on impact. It's not a realistic game. It's not a bullet spongy game. I mean, there is some bullet sponginess, but it's just ridiculous good fun. It's funny as well. It's the humour that makes the game. Forget every other kind of bullet spongy game that came after that. It was the first looter shooter, and nobody's beaten it. It was the first true looter shooter that games like Destiny and Anthem and all that lot are kind of born out of. I'm getting bung nose again, but nobody's done it better. Nobody's done it better than the original Borderlands. Earl D says the Nurgle Terminators are beasts, such fun to paint. Vasily says, I used to play hardcore Ghost Recon. You move 3 pixels and you're dead. Love that game. Now I only play War Thunder. I just can't get into modern games. Well, it's 10 years old, Borderlands, so it's just fun. Trust me, it's fun. If you've got it, if you've already got it, you may as well install it and see what it's like. Just don't expect anything serious and have fun with it. Has anybody used Hataka acrylic paints here? What do you think of them? I've not heard of those. Are they Japanese? They're not Japanese. I think they're Polish or something. They're not. They're Japanese. They are. I've not used them, but I know Skipper Ted, my very good friend Ted. He's not in chat. He doesn't watch the stream, unfortunately, but he's used them and he quite like them, I think. My channel sponsors emodels.co.uk. Do sell them. But yeah, they're supposed to be quite good. They're very nice water-based acrylic paints. If I remember rightly, they tend to focus on realistic colours for real-world, like military vehicles and aircraft and stuff. So they try to go for realistic replications of those colours. I think. But yeah, it's supposed to be quite good. War Thunder and World of Tanks, says Walter Wolf. Here we go. There's a question for you then, because we talked about this a bit anyway. If you're playing games, you're a gamer. If you're a video game, what games do you play? Now George can't answer this because George has played all the games, literally all the games in the world. If you can think of a video game, George has played it and he's got it on his shelf. So George can't pin it down to one game. But if you're a gamer, what's your game of choice? What are you into? I used to love first-person shooters. I started playing Halo. Was got my first ever console, my first ever game that I owned myself was Halo on the original Xbox. That got me into first-person shooters. Got to about 2007 or 8, and I discovered Fallout 3. That exposed me to open-world shooters a bit more. Then, of course, Borderlands. And then I played Fallout 3 and Borderlands and the Fallout games that came after that, and Borderlands 2, then Destiny and stuff like that. So I've kind of moved from first person up to more open world first person type games. And things like, Elite Dangerous and stuff like that. To the point where I can't really go back and play a bog standard first person shooter now because it's just boring. It's just corridor running. Borderlands is an exception, but yeah. Let's have a look. Polish, I think, says Vasily. Yeah, I think they're Polish or something like that. But yes, they are apparently very good. I've not used them myself, but I hear they are very good. eModels do stock them. If you're in the UK or in Europe. Something happened. What happened then? Chua Wee Long has subscribed. Welcome, Chua. Welcome to the channel. Do have a look around. For anybody who's new to my channel, by the way, and I mentioned it earlier, anybody who's new to the channel, do have a look around. Unlike many YouTubers, I insist on putting everything in playlists. So if you see one of my videos and you think, I like this, I want to go and watch part 2 of this build series, there's a playlist for it. There's nothing I hate more than when somebody does like a 5-part series on something, and you go and watch the video, and of course the suggestions on the right, there's no part 2, and you think, well, now I've got to go to the guy's channel, and then I've got to go to videos, and there's no playlists, I've got to go to videos, and then I've got to try and find episode 2, and then episode 3. I hate that. Oh, it makes me mad. If I go to someone's channel and they've got an interesting series, a multi-part series, and they haven't got playlists, I will go away from their channel and never come back. Don't care what the videos were like, if they were good videos or not. I refuse to hunt for episodes of a series when they should do that for you. So all my stuff is in playlists. If you watch something and you like it, go to playlists on my channel. There'll be a playlist there somewhere. There's a lot of them. You'll have to scroll down to find them all, but there's a lot of playlists. There's like 70 or 80 playlists. Every time I do a build series, it gets a playlist. So, yeah. I was talking, I've forgotten my point now. Where are we? Walter... Oh, everything jumped. Whoa! Walter's talking about World of Tanks, he says, or World Thunder, I guess, as the Hilo update blows. I've not played that game. They're talking about War Thunder or World of Tanks, I'm not sure. I assume War Thunder. Zaz says, yes, I remember the transit build. Cool, good point. The transit build was awesome. You done it for e-models, says Vasily. Yes, it was an e-models build. And it was weird because it was like a little... That diorama I did for it took literally about an hour. It didn't take that long to do at all, but it's so much fun. The whole build itself was probably about 5 or 6 hours if you break it all down, but it was great fun. I really want to do a rusty dented transit sometime to go with my Root Master, says Adster. That way of doing the rust by just like getting a base red-brown colour, and then speckling on with a stiff bristly brush, because that's real stiff bristles, and just doing that. I used to do that years ago when I was doing painting with acrylics on canvas and stuff to get fades and shades. It's just a great way to get speckly patchy. But the thing is, the masking fluid is great if it's a big model. If it's a little thing, that's probably a bit... You couldn't do little chips like that. It's probably a bit too small. Although if you could do big things like that and then work it in other chips other ways. But it's good for big models. Totally Scale Model says, slap it on. I bought them from E-Models. Job done, says Vasily. Awesome. Good man. Stabby brush motion. Yeah, all of them, says George. Yes, he does have all of the games. Like I said, I started scrolling down what he's played on Xbox. I never got to the end. I got bored and fell asleep before I got to the end of his games. Vasily says, I own most systems from 80s to arcade boards. Oh, good man. I am toying with the idea of saving up for... you remember a few weeks ago, I started doing some like streams of playing Halo, playing through Halo, and we'll go back to that at some point, playing through the original Halo games. And it was the Halo with Master Chief Collection, and I wasn't that enamoured of the sound remake. The remixing they did of the sounds, the audio, it was still good, it just wasn't quite right, and I missed the original audio of all the things to miss in a video game. So I got my old original Xbox out, and then spent a little while getting it all to work, and I got myself some replacement leads and stuff like that to work on my big telly and stuff. And I got most of the way there, but it didn't quite work, and I had to open it all up and give it a clean out and take the capacitor out for the clock, and I replaced the bands for the drives. But no, it won't read the discs at all, so it's kind of written. It's a write-off now. It's like, it'll go in the trash. But it got me wondering, I don't know yet, I might save up and get... a modded Xbox, original Xbox, but one of the ones from what are they called now? I can't remember what they're called, but it's some XM mod. I can't remember what they're called, but there's something called the mod file. It's like an original Xbox, but they basically just rework it completely. They stick like, you can, depending on how much you pay for it, you can get like pretty much most of the original Xbox library of games, PlayStation 1, 2 games. You can get SNES, all the original systems, Commodore, everything you can get basically. You get 100,000 games on it. So I'm tempted, but then I'm thinking, well, you get all these like classic Commodore and Amiga games, that's great, but I haven't got a keyboard. How do you play them with a controller pad? Very weird. But yeah. So I'm thinking I might save up. I don't know yet. It's one of those things I probably never actually use that much, so I might not. It's kind of an expense I don't need to make, really. It's a bit expensive. So I don't know. I'll think about it. What are people saying anyway? Jamie Bowen says, oh, it's moved. Hang on. Jamie Bowen says, I like first-person shooters, but also sports games. I'm not into sport, you see, so sports games don't do anything for me. Walter Wilmer says, I love the original Ghost Recon, but if I had to pick one today and play, only think one, then Black Ops 2 Zombies. Cool. Osric 9000, an RPG guy. Cool. Lord Barkley III is in. Hi, guys. Hey, Lord Barkley. At the end, but you're in. That's the important thing. Sergeant Bone says, all the wargaming games, was alpha tester on all of them. Borderlands, Call of Duty, Armoured Warfare, all the need for speeds. We have all the needs for speeds. Yes. Jolly good. Zadster, by far most played is World of Warcraft, but nowhere near as much fun as the Theme Hospital. I like the idea. Theme Hospital, Baldur's Gate, Ultimate Underworld 2 and back in the day. Diablo and whatever else there is, says Sergeant Bones. Sergeant Bones says, Ultima Lord British, I played the first Ultima on an Apple IIc. Showing your age, Sarge. I didn't realise till recently Apple IIc was an 8-bit computer. I'm like, wow, I didn't even realise that. Walter says, yes, I love your organisation. Makes it very nice to look through. That's referring to my playlist. I refuse to not have things in playlists. There's probably a handful of little videos that might be floating around that I forgot to put in a playlist, but like they'll be irrelevant, so they don't be anything important. But if I'm doing a build series, every single episode is in the playlist, without exception. I never want anybody to watch part 3 of a build and not know where part 4 is. Unless it's the D'Agostini Millennium Falcon, in which case you watch part 6. Yeah, that's it. Sorry. Yeah. If there's no episode after the one you've watched, it means I haven't done it. Sorry. Oops. Dad says HTTP. Oh, he's put. I guess it's a. Oh, Dad's put a link up for the transit build. Thank you very much, Dad. That link he's put in is for my transit build playlist. Some playlists only have 6 parts, says Osric. Oh, but I made my joke before I saw yours. Sergeant Mo's Dad got a link to the hetero build. Hetero build. What? Oh, I see. A tranny build. I get you. I think the Ultima 7 series were my favourite RPGs, says Edster. Vasily says XMBC. I can't remember the ones I've got. It's the company's called something. The guys that do it, they've not. I've spoken to them. I've messaged them back and forth on Facebook. They're really nice guys. They've not got the best design of. It's very confusing, but it's called the Mod Father, I think. They call that. They do things like they also do a Wii as well. They do a modded Wii that has all the console games on it. Zasta says he got 128 gig of games on his Raspberry Pi. Never seems to play him. Dad says, "Hey, my lud." There's somebody come in and I can't see them. Lord Barkley, afternoon father. Oh, there you go. So talking about Lord Barkley. Cool, Zadster. Is this a retro Pi? Says Candy Graham with his Pi little games on. Yes, I might get one of those Xboxes. I don't know. It's an extravagance. It's like, yeah, I think you get one with like a terabyte hard drive. And it's got like 50 Xbox games and 100 PlayStation 1 games and loads of other, like 100,000 other format system games, Genesis and SNES and Neo Geo and stuff. But given the fact I probably won't play most of them, and I only really want it for original Halo. It's like, do I really want to spend upwards of a couple £100? Not really. I don't know. I'll have it on the radar. Maybe if I one day have some money set aside and I've got that kind of money to throw around, I might be like, you know what? I'll treat myself. I'll treat myself a little bit. Why not? Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do some chipping on this. I've only got 20 minutes. Maybe not. I don't want to get started just before the end of the show. What I'm going to do, I think we'll call it a show though, because I'm actually dying for a great big wee. Hang on. Because before I drank this big litre of coffee, I'd actually drunk a litre of coffee just before it, so yeah. So I might call it that. It's a little bit early. We've got about 20 minutes to go, but I don't really want to start that on camera and then have to stop. I try not to stop halfway through doing something because it doesn't work out. I'm looking at this now and I'm thinking I'm not 100% happy with that. But I understand what I've got to do that comes with it. This, to me, the corner of my eye looks like some kind of complicated camouflage pattern. On, say, BDU camouflage pattern. But I know what's coming. I know what's due to come. And I know this will fade and blend in. So although I'm like looking at it thinking, oh, I've gone too far. I've done too... I always do this with chipping. I always think, I've done too much. I've gone too far. I've ruined it. Oh. But I know it's going to come back. I'm hoping. I'm fairly confident I'll bring it back with the weathering at the end, so I'm not too worried. So I need to go and get the rest of that done. So we shall see how it comes out. I'll get the red done as well, and the turret. So if you are doing chipping and stuff, if you're trying these methods, or trying anything, especially with this, don't, like I've said before, don't get panicking when you're halfway through a step of something and you suddenly think you ruined it. Because just keep in mind what's coming afterwards. If you're doing chipping, keep in mind that you've got washes and filters. Because I haven't done any weathering on this yet. This is the first bit of weathering, remember? We haven't done any weathering yet. This is just shading and painting. So, Oh, pot noodle burp. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, I love pot noodle burps. The gift that keeps on giving. So, I know what's to come. So keep in mind, if you get this far and you're doing this and you're thinking, oh, it looks like it's got acne, it looks terrible, I don't like it. Just keep that in mind, what is to come, what you've got left to do. There's lots more left to do on this. Once you've got the whole thing done, and you've got mud, dirt, dust, and other things, it'll start to make more. Like I might get some rust colours, oil paints or enamels, and just wash them along here to get like rust around the edges. Like a bright rust colour, or powders even. Get some powders and work them in and thin them down to make a wash, and that will collect around edges, and that will add to the rust effect. Right now, you've got these brown rust spots in the middle of nowhere with no streaking or anything, or discoloration or anything, so it'll all kind of hopefully blend together. It might come out more weather than I'd planned for, but that's fine, we'll see. Last quick look at the chattings. It's just a standalone pie, can't remember what the name of the bundle is, says Edster. Captain Nemo, hey Fox, great to see you again. Hey dude, or dudette, not sure which, could be either. I'm just about to end now though. You timed it right at the end, so I do apologise. But thank you for coming in. Cynical Mank says, the missus is making I want tea noises, so I better head off and make it. Latest people and tar for the stream, Fox. Pleasure as ever, Cynical Mank, local lad. I'm going to end it now anyway, so, because I need to go for a great big wee. Downside of drinking 2 litres of coffee in about 4 hours. Oh. Actually, what on my brew? I shall go and sit outside for a few minutes to have relaxations, and then I'll figure out what I'm having for dinner. So it just remains for me to, as always, say thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate you guys who come in and watch. The latest episode of the U-boat build, which I shall grab for you. Latest episode of the Chibi Squishy U-boat build. Can I get it on screen so you can see it? I have to kind of put something underneath so you can see it, because they're all kind of, the camera's up at an angle. Will that work? Is that just asking for trouble? There you go. Latest episode of the Chibi U-boat build to get to this point is now, it's up in early access for patrons, Patreon supporters, and then towards the end of next week, it will then come out of early access and be available to everyone. So if you want to, if you're a patron supporter, go and check it out. It's available for you to watch, advert free. And it's before it goes live on my channel or eModels or anywhere else. It's advert free, and then it'll be with everybody else next week. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I'm going to crack on filming the next bit of that tomorrow. This has got a bit of weathering left to do. It's not got a lot of stuff left to do on this now. Once this is done, George, once this is done, it's time for the Master Grade Sazabi. And like I said before, I'm going to do the Sazabi as a Patreon exclusive build series. So patrons will get the full build episodes. However, non-patrons will start with the live stream where I'm denubbing and getting everything ready, and then non-patrons will get like a little 5 or 10 minute build diary episode. Every time a full video goes up, non-patrons get a little sort of build diary video, just so they've got something to go on with. Because it's going to take me a while, and I don't want to give everybody nothing for like weeks and weeks and weeks while patrons are getting a build series, so there you go. On that note though, if you would like to help support this channel, and if you attend in the next coming weeks to get access to that Sazabi build, if you would like to help support this channel, there's several ways you can do that. First and foremost, make sure to like and subscribe. It keeps the lights on. It keeps me going. It makes me happy. We've already broken the 20,000 subscriber barrier. Let's break 100,000. Yes. But do like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I don't just do model making. I do other stuff as well, video games every now and then. So have a look. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that notification bell. If you would like to support me on Patreon, this is what I do for my living. This is my income. So I 100% depend on my patrons and any income I make from YouTube. So if you'd like to help support and you're in a position to, just feel free to pop along to patreon.com/modelmakingguru and become a patron. You can pledge as little or as much as you like. It's entirely up to you. You don't have to do any of it, but if you do, it'd be really, really nice. Even $1 a month. It's like 70p. That helps me a massive amount. You wouldn't even believe how much even 70p a month helps me out. So if you'd like to, go and have a look. So the Sazabi series will be exclusive for patrons. And patrons do get most of my build series a week early, advert free. So there you go. Also, if you don't want to do that though, other ways you can do it. If you're watching my stuff, if you get an advert before the video starts, please consider just sitting there for 30 seconds and watching it. It really helps me out, and it's only 30 seconds. And if you need to get any modelling supplies, if you need to pick up some paints or bits and bobs or anything like that, you're going to go on Amazon to order them, stop and have a look under one of my videos, under like say this one. There's a list underneath I do have an Amazon store. There's a link below, and there's also a small selection of what's in the Amazon store linked below as well. If you use one of those links or go to my Amazon store and order it through there, it doesn't cost you any extra. It just means that I get a little bit of income from that. So if you need to get something for your modelling and you're going to go on Amazon, before you do it, just go and check out my store and see if I've got it in. If there's something there that you want and I've not got it, just let me know and I'll add it to it, because it does help me out massively. Not costing you a penny, and you're really helping keep this channel going, because this is what I do this is my living. This is what I do 9 to 5, Monday to Sunday. I don't have any days off. I've got no sick plan. I can't go sick. Don't have any days off or healthcare or anything like that. But I do it because I love it, because I love you guys. So anyway, I shall shut up now. Thank you to everyone for watching. I'm out of breath. I need to go for a massive wee. I tend to talk a lot when I need to go for a wee. Thank you to everyone for watching. Do stay tuned for eModels stream tomorrow night, Monday. And of course, I'll be back next Sunday with another Warhammer, and I'll probably have a video then before you for the next U-boat. So until next time, it remains for me to say thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Go make something awesome like these. Go be awesome. You there, you. Looking at my finger, wiggling with all the eyes on your face. That one and that one. No, both of them. And until next time, adios, amoeba.